And the players are saying we're going to put aside our grievances for now and focus on a more immediate issue. That is getting back on the winning track. It won't be easy because the Tampa Bay Bucks are no longer the pushovers of recent years. And my partner, Ken Stabler, hey, the Vikings are picked by many to be in the Super Bowl, but they've had a rough couple of weeks.
Well, JB, along with their problems off the field, they have them on as well. They've had key penalties at crucial times. They've had a lack of a good running game. The absence of a good kicking game has all contributed to their 1-2 start. But when you have 9 Pro Bowl players and you have your back against the wall this early, look for them to come out smoking.
What about the fast improving Buccaneers?
Well, you take the Tampa Bay Bucks. They're playing very solid football on both sides of the ball. After wins over the Green Bay Packers, a win over the New Orleans Saints, and a close loss to the world champion 49ers, they have become respectable. With a win here today, they could become contenders after a decade in the NFL with the worst record.
In addition to trying to knock off the Minnesota Vikings today, the Bucs will be trying to overcome history on turf. Not an impressive one, 2-10 under coach Ray Perkins. The Buccaneers have won the toss, and they have elected to receive. Very unsettling week here in Minnesota, and we will talk more about it as you take a look at a new face for the Vikings, Rich Carlos. Just signed, recent, of course, of the Denver Broncos, and we're underway. And this is Donnie Elder taking it at the 6. And Elder has a little seam. And Donnie Elder with an impressive run to the 32-yard line, run out of bounds by Jesse Solomon. Vinny Testaverde, the improved version, confident one from last year, will get his team cranking on the offensive end after that 20-yard return by Donnie Elder. And the line providing the protection. Gruber, Grimes, Bruin, Taylor, and Hall. Watch the matchup with Tom McHale, starting only his 2nd game at guard. He'll be going against the All-Pro from Minnesota, Keith Millard. Backs and receivers, Tate, Howard, Carrier, Hill, Drury, and Gay in on obvious passing situations. 1st and 10 for the Bucs. And the handoff goes to Tate, and Tate with daylight. About an 8 to 9 yard run. Take a look at the defensive line of Minnesota. Noga, Tim Newton, and replacing the injured Henry Thomas, Keith Millard, and Chris Dolman, the All-Pros. Linebacking core, Merriweather, the veteran, Scott Studwell, 13 years, and David Howard in for the still yet to be fully healthy guy by the name of Jesse Solomon. Lee, Rutland, Curtis, Browner, McMillan, and Fullington in on obvious passing situations. And that was William Howard. Maybe a yard on the play. Will bring up a 3rd and 1 situation for the Buccaneers.
Well, JB, when you're concerned with the pass rush that the Minnesota Vikings have, one of the ways to slow down that is to get your running game going early, and they've started out with a good series.
Bucs bringing in their 3 tight ends, power formation, going for the short yardage. This is Tate. Tate, this will be close. And he ran right into a pile. Surprised that he didn't leap that time. He has a tendency to go airborne.
He does have a tendency to leave the ground, but I think the type running we've seen here is what you'll see most of the day. They're a straight-ahead, man-on-man blocking type team with the big backs of Lars Tate and Howard.
Lars Tate gives the team good speed and cutting ability. And in that case, has given the team a 1st down. Jerry Burns, we talked about him being a little hot under the collar. Still a player's coach, though, but Kenny, he is upset.
Yeah, he is upset, but he's not one to go out and voice that. He just goes out and does his job and goes about his business in a professional manner. Not a real holler and a yell guy.
1st and 10 for the Bucs. And the ball carried Tate again, and Tate running hard. Good 7-yard run by Lars Tate, brought down by Joey Browner.
Well, you see, I'm working behind John Bruin, number 69, the right guard. And behind that big block, you take Howard, a 245-pound fullback. You get him on a linebacker as they did Studwell, kick him out, and they've got their running game going early. I think it's awfully important when you face a pass rush like Minnesota's.
Bucs looking impressive on the ground. 2nd and 3. Take a look at Lars Tate's numbers. Out of the I formation, this is Bruce Hill in motion. And on the ground again, and Tate looking for room looks to be a little shy of the first down as David Howard, the linebacker for the Vikes, stops it.
You take last week, Pittsburgh had an awful lot of success trapping the Minnesota Viking defensive line, and teams that penetrate the way Minnesota does, traps are awfully effective. Tampa Bay is not a trapping type team, but I think we'll see a little more from them today. Floyd Peters, the defensive coordinator there, upset over his team. Lack of discipline by the defensive line of not reading those traps last week and taking the correct angles.
On 3rd and 1 amongst the 3 tight ends for the Bucs is Jackie Walker. We'll talk more about him. And Tate again. There he goes. He's airborne this time. There is a flag on the play. And Tate going to his familiar leap to get the necessary yardage. But let's check the call. Referee of today's crew, Red Casher, the veteran. And the offsides penalty will go against the Vikings, so it'll be a first down for the Buccaneers. Looking impressive on his opening drive.
Another thing that's awfully important here, JB, is to have those good... Here's our call.
Nose tackle, 5 yards, first down.
It's awfully important to have the good first down play to create those short yardage situations. If you get long yardage situations against the Minnesota Vikings, you're asking for trouble. So your first down play is awfully important.
Buccaneers 2 first downs in this drive with the ball across midfield. Marked at the 47 of the Vikings. Just underway here. First quarter, no score. Testaverde still keeping it on the ground. This is William Howard, and he bulls his way forward, knocking over in the process Travis Curtis.
Well, William Howard's going to carry the load on the ground for this team. They are a big back team that's straight ahead, man-on-man type blocking. And here's an example of it. There's a low-angle shot of it. Here you see him pull McHale. Listen to this right here. There's Howard hitting up in there, 240, 45 pounds. He can help you control the ball.
A hard-earned 3 yards brings up a 2nd and 7 for the Buccaneers. 10:59 remaining in the first quarter. No score. The lone back, Howard. Testaverde back to pass. First pass is complete to Bruce Hill. And Hill knocked out of bounds near the 25. Now there is a flag back near the 40-yard line. But Testaverde keeping the action on the ground before going to the passing game, and that initial signal by Cashin again against the Vikings. Not the kind of emotional stop that the Vikings want.
Nose tackle. Penalty is declined. First down.
Like we talked at the top of the show, JB, that's the type of things that have contributed to their 1-2 start. And it's a little things, just like that right there. Penalties, a bad kick here, a bad decision. And those things have just killed this team for the last 3 games. The thing you notice right now about the Tampa Bay Bucs, if they've come out with a 2 tight end offense, I think the reason for that is to establish a tight end on that open side where the linebacker or the defensive end doesn't get a free run at you. Helps you control the penetration.
All at the 25 of the Vikes. 1st and 10 for the Bucs. Howard caught in the backfield. Down, no gain. Amongst the Vikings there, Tim Newton.
Well, they try the tray tap. It's a counter tray that Washington made famous, and they try to pull Paul Gruber, number 74, up in the hole, but Tim Newton gets an awful lot of penetration. It knocks the tackle off and destroys the timing of the play.
A loss of 3 on the play makes it 2nd and 13 as you take a look at Timmy Newton, a slimmed-down version Tim Newton.
A lot of hard work from about 330 pounds down to about 270. Now, this is a situation that you don't want to be in against Minnesota as a long yardage situations.
3 wide outs in for the Bucs. 1 2nd and 13. And the ball carrier met at the 30. And the Vikings toughening up down in the trenches as Howard was smacked hard, led by Scott Studwell. Loss of 1 on the play.
Think that guy's not intense? Al Noga, number 99, doing a little twist with Tim Newton, runs himself right into the play. That penetration that they get makes it awfully tough to run in there.
3rd and 14 out of the shotgun. Don Smith and James Wilder the backs in for the Bucs.
Important for Testaverde not to turn the ball over here and protect the field goal.
He's got time, and he goes up top for a carrier. Incomplete. So Testaverde was going up top for his favorite receiver, Mark Carrier, covered that time by Darrell Fullington.
Down at the bottom of your screen, they get tight coverage, and that's the way to go. You go to the tight coverage when you see it. Minnesota's playing a double zone, doubling the outside guy. After the receiver gets by the first guy, Testaverde tries to get the ball over the top, but there you see the safety playing it very well.
Donald Igwe-Buike, a 46-yarder, and he's 19 of 19 from 46 yards and under. This one is up.
Better hustle.
And that's his first miss under 46 yards in a dome, breaking a streak of 19 consecutive. Tampa Bay comes away scoreless. Set of toes in the league, but he breaks a record here that he had in the dome.
I don't think there's any doubt about it. One of the most accurate kickers in the league, and then you get inside the 40-yard line, you can just about chalk up 3 with that young man right there. And field goals are awfully important today.
Prior to that miss, he had been 19 of 19 from 46 yards in domed stadiums, and I'm sure he can't believe it.
Well, on the Buck side of the ball, it'd be nice to come out of there with those 3 points, because I think it's awfully important for them to play even or ahead of this team and not get behind where that pass rush can come into play.
Vikings first possession, 1st and 10, ball at their own 29. Wilson back to pass. Looking up top for Carter. He's got him complete for the first down. Anthony Carter, statistically having a good year.
Well, you're going to see Anthony Carter come from the right-hand side of your screen. Little play pass to the fullback. Holds the linebackers, and then Anthony Carter runs about a 17, 18-yard in. Ball's delivered a little bit behind him, but that guy right there has got the tremendous hands.
Ball at the 47 of Minnesota, 1st and 10. Wilson back to pass, under pressure. Dumps it off to Finney. Finney across midfield. And trapped hard by Ricky Reynolds. The offensive line of the Vikings. Note there, David Huffman in for the injured Randall McDaniel at left guard. Loudermilk, Kalis Irwin, Steve Jordan at tight end, and of course Gary Zimmerman at left tackle. Backs and receivers. Although DJ Dozier started, you'll see an awful lot of Rick Finney for power backfield of the Vikings. Leo Lewis and Jim Gustafson in an obvious passing situations. 2nd and 6. Dozier. Into Tampa territory near the 45, Eugene Marv on the stop. Mentioned Eugene Marv, an improving and solid Tampa Bay defensive line. Reuben Davis, Kurt Jarvis, and Robert Pig Goff. An impressive linebacking core, young and growing together. Kevin Murphy, Eugene Marv, Irvin Randall, and Winston Moss. And that secondary is anchored by the 2 students of the game, Harry Hamilton and Mark Robinson, both Penn Staters. 3rd and 1 for the Vikes. 2 tight ends. Anderson, he's got the first down. It's part of that power back.
Part of that power back setup. They take Anderson and Finney in there. There's about 400 pounds of people in there, and that big package like that is ideal for the short yardage situations.
They call it the big back attack.
This part of the field, Tampa Bay plays an awful lot of double zone. They'll play their 2 cornerbacks up short and rotate the safeties in behind. Look for Minnesota to try to get their tight end or their running back down the middle of the field against that double zone.
Hassan Jones to the near side, Carter to the wide, to the far, 1st and 10, ball at the 42 of Tampa. This is Finney. And Finney met hard, but a pickup of 5 on the play.
Well, you see this underneath ball handling from Wade Wilson to Finney right there, just underneath ball handling. They pull the guard and kick off. Now, this is the same type of action. You see Finney getting in the secondary. That's the same type of action, JB, that we might see a play pass from to get the halfback or the tight end down the middle. Is that kind of play action. DJ
Dozier replacing Alfred Anderson in. 2nd and 5 for the Vikes. Ball at the 37 of the Bucks. Steve Jordan in motion. This is Dozier. Looking for a hole. There is none. Slam back, led by Eugene Marv. No gain on the play. You won't see a lot of fancy stuff from the Bucks, but they're solid.
They are a solid team. They're not making the mistakes. They're playing real basic football on both sides. They play the normal 3-4 defense with not a lot of stunts on defense. Offensively, straight ahead, man-to-man tight blocking with those big, powerful backs. And I think that's probably a good philosophy when you're dealing with an extremely young team, is not to overload them with a lot of adjustments. Just play solid, basically.
3rd and 5. Hassan Jones, Anthony Carter to the near side. This is Jones in motion. Wilson looking to pass. Looking for Carter. He's got him complete for the first down.
Look at those hands.
Ricky Reynolds pushes Carter out of bounds, but not before. Carter picked up 17 yards on that pass play. And Wilson looking impressive. A big battle taking place down in New Orleans. With the report on that, Brent Musburger in New York.
All right, James, and we've got a touchdown for the Saints against the Redskins. It is now 7-3 New Orleans. Another story, Eric Dickerson is playing for the Colts. He has scored. Let's go back to James.
And you can bet the Saints are one mad team playing right now as Wilson goes back to pass. Knocked out of his hands by Kurt Jarvis, and the Bucs recover. So Kurt Jarvis, the second-year player from Alabama, showing good speed as he knocks the ball loose, and Pig Goff recovers for the Bucs.
Well, in the middle of your screen, number 95, the nose guard, Kurt Jarvis, just gets penetration. He just whips his guy. When Wade Wilson steps up in the pocket, there's the fumble. That's the very thing that we talked about at the top of the telecast. Those little mistakes, penalties, lack of running has hurt them.
And on the other side of the coin, an impressive play by the Bucs. Not typical in years past. And some Tampa some credit.
It is vanilla. They're getting pressure on the quarterback they have all year by not doing anything special. The way that they're doing it is just with a normal 3-4 front. The nose man in this case, Kurt Jarvis, makes the play.
And Snake, let's also be honest, we'll talk a little bit about that offensive line of the Vikings in a moment. Wade Wilson out right now with what seems to be an injured hand. Testaverde on first down. Keeping the ball on the ground for a 2-yard gain. Lars Tate. We talked about the offensive line I mentioned to you before. Last week against Pittsburgh, not enough attention focused on the offensive line. They really didn't do the job, Kenny.
They really didn't. You know, I think in defense of Wade Wilson, you see him right there. Maybe he's injured, but in defense of that young man last week, running for his life most of the day and hurried and frustrated with just bad play all the way around offensively.
So Wilson heading to the locker room to have that hand examined. We'll get an update to you as quickly as possible. Meanwhile, on 2nd and 8, Testaverde. And it looks to be complete to William Harris, the tight end. Did they signal a catch? No, they called it a trap ball. There's Wade Wilson, starting quarterback, heading to the locker room. And, of course, that means the backup quarterback, the one with all the experience, Tommy Kramer, will be operating and guiding things for the Vikings, 13-year veteran.
There's a gunslinger from Texas. He'll line up and cut it loose. You can bet on that.
3rd and 8 for the Bucs. 3 wideouts. Ball at their own 39. Complete to Bruce Hill, but not enough for the first down. Good coverage provided by Audrey McMillan, and the Bucs will have to punt. And an appreciative crowd giving a hand to the defense of the Vikings.
Well, that's what they've got to do, is create the long yardage situations where they can get that pass rushing going and harass the quarterback and make the big turnover. They haven't done that all year long.
Leo Lewis back deep for the Vikings. A speedster indeed.
Nice job of Testaverde that time of stepping up in the pocket, not forcing the ball, not throwing the big turnover, taking what they give him.
And Chris Moore just gets it away. Hang time of 4-1, and Leo Lewis using lightning speed to go maybe 2 yards.
Nowhere to go.
Good coverage by the special teams of Tampa as you take a look at Tommy Kramer. 13-year veteran will be operating things offensively for the Vikes when we come back. Tommy Kramer, the 13-year veteran, will take over at the helm for the Vikes.
Well, JB, I think when you bring a Tommy Kramer in, you really don't lose an awful lot. Awful lot of experience. He's been in every situation that you can name of, and I don't think you lose anything. This guy can still throw the ball. Starting back with good field position at Minnesota's own 12. And this is Darren Nelson. Nelson across the 15 to about the 16-yard line, a 5-yard pickup.
by Darren Nelson. Well, last week, of course, we did the New Orleans Saints-Tampa game when both New Orleans quarterbacks got knocked out. New Orleans had no idea who they would go to. Not the case here with Minnesota.
Well, they've got this young man right here, Allen Rice. Not really a throwing-type quarterback. Has had some quarterback experience in college as a handoff-type quarterback, a running-type quarterback. He's there in case of extreme emergency.
Finney and Nelson, the backs, on 2nd and 5 for the Vikings. No flag. No, there is a flag as Nelson takes it across the 20. And Darren Nelson, showing speed of years past, up near the 30-yard line for the first down. A 13-yard run. And the signal Tampa Bay, so Darren Nelson something to.
As you know, Darren Nelson has rolled. Speed player, not being used an awful lot.
1st and 10 at the 30. This is Finney. And Finney pulling his way across the 35. 6-yard gain by Rick Finney before being tackled by Ricky Reynolds, and that's what Jerry Burns wants to see.
That's what he wants, that big back attack that can control the ball, get the good plays on first down. Here they've created a 2nd down and 4 or 5, and that's what they want to try to do.
This telecast is presented by authority of the National Football League and is intended for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast or other use of this telecast without the express written consent of the Minnesota Vikings and the National Football League
is prohibited.
2nd and 4. Out of the I formation. Kramer hands off. First down and more by Darren Nelson. Now, Jerry Burns has said that Nelson still has good speed, but not as quick as he was early in his career. Nelson trying to disprove that.
Good opportunity to him to put the ball in his hands a little bit. He's, like I said, he's questioned his role. But there you see Todd Callis, number 69, the right guard pull. He follows his block, makes a nice cut. When he gets in the secondary, he can be a little trouble.
1:08 remaining in the first quarter. James Brown along with Ken Stabler. No score between the Bucs and the Vikings. 1st and 10 for the Vikes at their own 47. Finney met in the backfield and dropped. Good hustle by Winston Moss. Check that, make it Kevin Murphy. Loss of 1 on the play. I tell you, Kevin Murphy and Winston Moss really have been playing some great games through the first 3 of the season.
Been playing terrific. They've gotten an awful lot of pressure from those guys from the outside. One of the complaints from the defensive people at Tampa Bay was that they weren't getting enough pressure on the quarterback. This year, Winston Moss, Kevin Murphy, been supplying the pressure from the outside.
Hassan Jones to the far side, Anthony Carter to the near. 2nd and 11. Kramer to pass. Complete to Anderson out of the backfield. Anderson got the first down and more. So the old veteran marching his team upfield. We'll be back in just a moment. Minneapolis, Minnesota. Fans out hoping to see their Vikings get back on the winning track. Starting off slow this year, 1-2, a team mini pick to be in the Super Bowl. And no score at the end of the first quarter. As you take a look at Wade Wilson back on the sidelines. We don't know the nature of the injury, but he is back on the sidelines.
Yeah, it's really hard to say. Looks like he's looking at his hand, his left hand right there. But like I said, I don't think you miss an awful lot when you bring in a Tommy Kramer.
Hassan Jones in motion on 1st and 10. Kramer to pass. Looking for Carter. And Carter with a sensational catch. Boy, he continues to amaze.
He just does it week in and week out. He has those tremendous hands. He catches the ball out in front of him. He catches it with people hanging all over him, in a crowd, over the middle. He does it all for him.
Not to mention that it was enough yardage for the first down, a 13-yard pass play.
Watch where he catches this ball. He doesn't let the ball get in on top of him. He catches the ball out in front of him in his hands as he did his reception earlier. Watch it. Here's the Kramer delivering the ball. Now watch his hands get out in front. Got his hands out in front, hangs on with Rod Jones hanging all over him.
Carter's one of the frustrated Vikings who is having difficulty renegotiating his contract. He says, let me prove it on the field.
Well, if you talk about importance to a team, he has to rank up there with any of them.
And Darren Nelson trying to show his importance to the team as a running back as he runs down near the 20. 4-yard gain by Darren Nelson. Stopped by Eugene Marv. And again, we talked about Anthony Carter and what he means to this team. Clearly, he's one of the top 5 receivers in the league. He feels he ought to be paid like one of those top 5.
Well, as I said, if you look at importance to a ball club, you think in terms of the Mike Quicks at Philadelphia, you think in terms of the Jerry Rice in San Francisco, and this guy's in the top 5 without a doubt. Big play man, and has been year in and year out.
Jim Gustafson in at wide receiver to the bottom of your screen. On 2nd and 6, Kramer complete to Finney out of the backfield, and Finney dropped by Eugene Marv about 3 yards shy of the first down marker.
Tommy Kramer anticipating man-to-man coverage down in this part of the field and trying to get one of those backs matched up on a linebacker.
Will bring up a 3rd and 4 for the Vikings as Rick Finney takes a breather. Alfred Anderson and Darren Nelson, the backs in for the Vikings. What are your fond memories of Tom Kramer?
Oh, just watching him play. I mean, I look at him as a gunslinger, you know. It doesn't matter if Tommy Kramer throws 4 interceptions in a quarter. He may come back and throw 4 touchdowns in the next quarter. He's got a tremendous stomach and guts and pride.
Big 3rd and 4 for the Vikings. Kramer complete for the first down to Darren Nelson.
Well, Tommy's just taking whatever they give him, you know. Look for Darren Nelson, that man right there, and you get him on a linebacker, then that's the matchup you want.
A small fracture of the left hand on that thumb is the injury report on Wade Wilson. Not certain whether we'll see him back, but if Tommy Kramer continues to play the way he is, it won't be necessary.
That's exactly right. Then you put your hands under the center and take those snaps, JB. Both thumbs are usually together when a quarterback puts his hands under. A fractured thumb can be awfully painful. He could be out for a little while.
1st and 10 for the Vikings. Ball at the 12 of the Bucks. So Anthony Carter. Touchdown, Minnesota. Anthony Carter breaking 2 tackles. Rod Jones and Harry Hamilton had a shot at him. Couldn't stop him from getting to the end zone. Anthony Carter had only 1 catch in the first half last week against Pittsburgh. And Rich Carlos with the point after. And it's good. There is a flag on a play as Rich Carlos puts it through the uprights. And the preliminary signal is against the Vikings.
Looks like Vikings are going to have to set it back and see what Carlos can do with it.
Rich Carlos, of course, signed this week.
Holding. Left up back on the defense. Still try.
When Teddy Garcia had a horrible outing and has missed 4 of 5 field goals for the Vikings.
Well, the thing you notice about the touchdown play there is you can't give Anthony Carter that much room that close in. And how quick did Tommy Kramer get rid of the football? Zap, it was gone.
Rich Carlos with a little extra practice. Good on the 2nd attempt as well. So the Vikings are on the scoreboard first at 12:44 of the 2nd. They lead it by a touchdown.
NFL Player of the Year Award. Miller Lite brings you the NFL's best. New York Life, the company you keep. And by Today's Chevrolet, who invite you to see why nobody's winning like the heartbeat of America.
Yes, we are in lovely Minnesota, and that is the Mississippi River, separating, of course, the Twin Cities, St. Paul and Minneapolis. As you look at Wade Wilson, who does have a slight fracture on his hand, and we're being told will not see action the rest of the game.
Well, as we said earlier now, that makes Allen Rice the backup quarterback, and hopefully it won't come to that, but he is the backup now.
And Rich Carlos kicks one away. This is Donnie Elder at his own 8 across the 20. And Donnie Elder with a decent return stopped by Rick Finney, and there is a Bucks player down on the field. Hold on. 11 plays, 88 yards on that Viking scoring drive as we take a look at the downed Buck player, Sidney Coleman.
Not just survive.
Starting quarterback for the Vikings, Wade Wilson, goes out injured in the first quarter. The very capable Tommy Kramer comes in and engineers a drive that results in a touchdown throw to Anthony Carter, the big play guy. And one of the things that we talk about as the Vikings lead this one 7-0 here, many people ask whether or not there's a quarterback controversy because Jerry Burns has a tendency to pull one quarterback relatively quickly. Is there a quarterback controversy as far as you're concerned?
JB, I think anytime you got two guys that are capable of playing and moving the ball and one gets injured, the other one comes in, I think you're always going to have that.
Bucks on 1st and 10 as Lars Tate, running hard with the second effort, picks up about 4 yards on the play.
You know, whether or not there's a controversy or not, it's really hard to say. I think the fans and I think the media, I think they create the controversies. I think as a coach, you like to have two guys that are capable, but the injury factor is so strong in the NFL, especially at the quarterback position, and you're always going to have that when you have two guys that can play.
And Burns rationalized it, saying, hey, whichever guy is doing the job, that's who I want in there. 2nd and 6 for the Bucks. Testaverde back to pass. Underthrows the intended receiver, Bruce Hill.
Important right here, JB, for this team to get something going. You can't fall behind a team like Minnesota early in the game and have to throw your way back into the game because that plays right into the defensive philosophy of the Minnesota Vikings.
So look at Ray Perkins and Joe Ferguson standing on the sidelines. Ray Perkins says, I want to be inside the helmet and the head of Vinny Testaverde, trying to make him a better quarterback as opposed to just a thrower.
I think he's done a terrific job with it, too. He's making him a complete quarterback. He doesn't have to force the ball. They've limited the plays and his reads to situations where he can dump the ball off to his backs and not have to force things, and it's made Vinny a better player.
The players say they can see the confidence in him. It's like night and day as Tampa calls a timeout, and Vinny Testaverde runs over to the side to allow Ray Perkins to get inside his head and talk a little strategy. Your way next Saturday right here on CBS at 2:30, originating from Death Valley.
Oh, yeah. I was down in there in the 60s with an Alabama team, a Frank Howard coach team. Hot, tough to play down there.
On 3rd and 6, this is Hill in motion. Testaverde under pressure. Underthrows Bruce Hill as Chris Dolman and Keith Millard breathing down his neck.
Again, JB, that's the thing that we have to say again, is get to long yardage situations where you can let these guys like Millard and Dolman and Tim Newton, watch these guys. Look at the pressure they put on the quarterback. Look at this. Before he can set up good, I think Vinny does the smart thing here, and that's one of the things he's learned, is to just throw the ball away. They have to play even or ahead of this team. They can't afford to drop back too far behind, or we're going to see a lot of number 75.
Chris Moore to do the punting for the Bucks. Snapping is Sam Otto. And Moore aims it toward Leo Lewis. And Lewis dropped inside the 30 at about the 28. Don Smith down on the coverage. 48-yard punt, 5-yard return, and the story here in this graphic, the Minnesota offense.
Yeah, and I think it's on all phases of their offensive team. They started out running the ball well, JB. They got a couple good play passes from Kramer, and then they threw the ball outside to Anthony Carter. So they're mixing things up and playing solid.
11:35 remaining in the first half. Vikings on top, 7-0. Tommy Kramer in at quarterback. Wade Wilson on the side, injured hand. This is Alfred Anderson in motion. Kramer back to pass. Winston Moss on him. Misses it. Steve Jordan. And Steve Jordan takes it across the 35 to the 36, and boy, will Winston Moss be kicking himself for missing such an obvious sack.
Well, that's where Tampa Bay's been getting their pressures from their outside people. They get it here. There's number 58, Winston Moss. Now watch him do a necktie job on Tommy Kramer. Tommy has enough awareness that if there's that experience that shows to just straighten up, find an outlet, dump the ball off, and avoid the bad play.
And boy, isn't it nice to have a veteran like Steve Jordan around with those great hands. But Jordan actually had to come through with that catch. He missed the block. Finney on a drive. Up right near the first down marker. And Minnesota has it.
First thing that jumps out at me, JB, is the fact that Minnesota's running the ball real well. They've been talked about and criticized the first 3 games for not running the ball very well. Here they get their running game going. They're able to play pass and then throw the ball outside, get all of their offense involved in the game.
Well, Kramer's looking like the cool, calm veteran that he is.
Well, that's what you get when you get Tommy Kramer. He's been in every type of situation you can think of. This guy right here, he's in the process of learning the things that Tommy Kramer already has.
1st and 10 from the 41. Anderson in motion. Kramer.
Throw it away.
Throwing in the direction of DJ Dozier, and smartly throws it out of bounds.
I think he just throws the ball away. There's that experience that comes out. Don't force the ball. Don't have a bad play. Throw it away and start over.
Is it difficult on these Vikings when, in fact, they have both a Kramer and a Wilson who are in there so frequently? Does it make it tough on them at all?
I don't think it makes it tough on them because they're both experienced players, and I think it's a luxury to have 2 guys like that. When Wade Wilson goes down as he did today, you bring in that experience, a guy that all the rest of the team has a lot of confidence in. I think this is good shape when you have 2 people like that.
It was a first Minnesota incompletion. 2nd and 10 for the Vikes. Ball at their own 41. Under pressure. This time, the sack is good. Kevin Murphy does not miss it. His 5th sack of the year. He came into the game with 4, tied for 2nd in the NFC.
Well, like we said, JB, that's where their pressure has come from. It's from the Moss 58 you see right here, but the pressure this time comes from the other side. It comes from number 59, Kevin Murphy, coming in from the left side of your screen. Tommy had no chance.
Now, although Doug Graber says, I haven't changed anything, and of course he's the defensive coach, coordinator for the Bucs, haven't changed anything. These guys are just more mature. I think he has changed something.
I think he's getting really hard play out of them, for one thing. They're playing a basic 3-4 thing, and they're just playing tough and not making any middle errors.
Dime defensive package in for the Bucs on 3rd and 19 for the Vikes. Kramer going up top for Gustafson. And it's intercepted. Give the credit to the Penn Stater, Harry Hamilton. The intended receiver was Jim Gustafson, but Harry Hamilton comes up with the interception.
Well, JB, I think Tommy makes his mistake because he had to jump up in the pocket and the ball is a little late getting out of there. See, watch right here. Right there, he had to step up just a little bit. That delayed his throw. The ball hung a little bit, and you can't hang the ball in the middle of the field when you've got 2 safeties in there like Mark Robertson and Harry Hamilton.
So Tampa Bay takes over at its own 39. 9:26 remaining in the half. Bucs trailing by a touchdown. Testaverde back to pass. And the intended receiver was William Howard, who didn't turn to look in time. I guess he was the release guy for Testaverde.
One of those dump-off type things that they've been doing all year long. If Benny doesn't like what he sees down the field, he takes a dump off. Little miscommunication, mistiming between he and William Howard.
He'll be tested with this front line of Minnesota.
Again, there's a bad first down play. You come up 2nd and 10, and coming up 2nd and 10 against the Minnesota Vikings will get you in lots and lots of trouble.
2nd and 10.
Here's where they lay their ears back and go after the quarterback.
This is Howard. And Howard running strong up near the 45. A 6-yard gain, that is, by Howard, but he's still going to be about 4 yards shy of the first down.
Good draw play, which works well against teams that penetrate. With defensive line, that gets a lot of penetration. You draw them, you screen them, and you throw things where you get rid of the ball quick.
Jerry Burns doing a little sideline coaching. Very animated coach.
He was fun to talk to yesterday. A little bit critical of everybody on the field, but not a guy to really jump on anyone. He knows he's got a good ball club.
3rd and 4. Hill in motion. Testaverde slipped going back and underthrows Bruce Hill. Now, Testaverde had a lot of difficulty last year with underthrowing. It's starting to surface itself again.
In defense of him that particular time, because you're creating those long yardage situations, the 3rd and 4s and 5s and things like that, they're coming after him, putting pressure on him, not getting to him, not sacking him, but making him hurry everything.
So that brings on Chris Moore to punt for the Bucs. Leo Lewis back deep for Minnesota. And Moore gets it off.
Look out! Look out! Look out!
And it was Chris Moore who stopped the potential touchdown. A 64-yard punt return by Leo Lewis.
Well, it's just a combination of Leo Lewis really seeing those lanes to run in, and there's a great block right there. He gets 2 or 3 good blocks. You get a guy that can run like Leo Lewis, and you get some people out in front, like he has Merriweather, number 57, out in front of him there. He can do some damage.
5'8", 165. First and 10. Kramer to Hassan Jones. And Jones still on his feet as he's pushed out of bounds 3 yards shy of the first down marker.
Well, down on this part of the field, JB, I don't think that you, as a cornerback or defensive philosophy, I don't think you can lay off of those outside guys and play 5 and 7 yards off of those guys, because Tommy's just going to take the ball, raise up, look at him sidearm it, sling it out there and get it as quick to him as he can. The cornerback, Ricky Reynolds, playing 6 yards off of him, then misses the tackle. That's what you face with. Got to play tight down in there.
Brings up a 2nd and 2. Ball at the 13 of Tampa. Nelson and Finney in the backfield. This is Nelson. And Nelson going up the middle inside the 10. And that front line, offensive front line of the Vikes, doing a job this week.
Nothing fancy, just right off the tail of Todd Callis, a right guard, Tim Irwin, right tackle, and that big fullback leading up in there. Works well.
Providing enough protection for the Vikes to get a first down. As you take a look at Bob Schnelker, who certainly has to feel a little better about the effectiveness of the offense this week versus last week against the Steelers.
Got some big play people on the outside, and a quarterback that can make big plays. They've just been hurting themselves on offense with the penalties and a little bit lack of a running game.
On 1st and goal, this is Alfred Anderson. Bull rushing his way down near the 5-yard line. A 5-yard run by Alfred Anderson. Now this is where those big backs of the Vikes really pay dividends, should pay dividends.
Right down in here, because you really don't do a lot of fancy things down in here. You try to get your guards on the linebackers and man on man, get those big backs hitting up in there.
Boy, Washington looks as if it's running to a buzzsaw down there in New Orleans.
Kansas City with a new quarterback. The Polish Rifle is throwing for Kansas City today.
2nd and goal, ball at the 5. Finney. Down to the 3, stopped by Eugene Marr. The Polish
Rifle.
Rifle.
Ron Jaworski, former Philadelphia player, solid veteran player that can still throw the ball.
All right. That quarterback fraternity.
That's it. That's it.
6:44 and running left in the first half. Vikings on top, 7-0, trying to add to the score. Ball is down at the 2-yard line. Third and goal, ball at the 2. Finney. Good defense by the Bucks. Initial hit applied by Broderick Thomas, the #1 draft pick from Nebraska.
Defensively, that's what you want to do to Finney. You want to force him outside because they are inside type running backs. They're big, strong guys that run the ball well in between the tackles. If you can make him bounce outside, that's what you want. That's what they do. They make him bounce out, and here comes all the pursuit. There's Winston Moss. There's Irwin Randall pursuing. They go to the ball really hard.
So Rich Carlos will attempt the field goal. The holder is Bucky Scribner. This will be a 20-yard field goal attempt by Rich Carlos. And Carlos puts it up and through. So Carlos, the brother-in-law of Kirk Loudermilk, making his debut here. An impressive one thus far. Vikes on top, 10-0. Turn by Leo Lewis, the key play setting up a field goal by the Vikings. Vikings out in front, 10-0. 5:33 remaining in the first half. Rich Carlos kicking off for the Vikings. Back deep, Donnie Elder and Bobby Futrell for the Bucks. And this will be Elder again, taking it at his own 5. Across the 20. And Donnie Elder roped out of bounds by Jesse Solomon. It'll be doubleheader Sunday next week here on CBS. And of course, it all starts with the NFL today at 12:30 Eastern time. Then in game 1, you will see either Chicago and Tampa Bay or Detroit and Minnesota. Then at 4 o'clock, most of you will see San Francisco battle New Orleans, while others will see Phoenix take on Washington or Atlanta taking on the Rams. That's next Sunday right here on CBS. 1st and 10 for the Bucs. Ball at their own 30. Testaverde. Lone back is Howard. Howard straight ahead. Running that 250 pounds ahead for a 5-yard gain.
I think, JB, they're going to have to mix things up a little bit on 1st down. They're going to have to do a little bit of play passing and throw the ball outside. There's the Minnesota Vikings. JB, you know how he got his job?
How's that?
He crashed the party. The first Super Bowl that the Minnesota Vikings were in, and I don't know, I'm not sure which year that was, but their very first one. This guy crashed the party with that outfit on. They said anybody that'll crash a party with those set of horns on can be our mascot. Had the job ever since.
Who's going to argue?
He's a truck driver.
Lars Tate to the left. And Lars Tate, 4-yard gain. David Howard on the tackle for the Vikes, about a yard shy of the 1st down marker. We asked Lars Tate why he has a tendency to jump as much as he does, and he says he actually practiced that in college.
Practiced it. Vince Dooley, his coach at Georgia, they actually practiced leaving the ground, jumping, hurling over players, and he's made it work for him.
Tampa not too successful in 3rd down conversions, only 1 of 5. 3rd and 1 here. And although he goes airborne, Tate grabbed airborne by Ray Berry. So the Vikings obviously studied their film well.
Well, they know he's going to leave the ground because of past performances, but watch the penetration. You're going to see number 75, Keith Millard, and number 50, Ray Berry. There's Millard with his penetration at the bottom. When he leaves the ground, there's Ray Berry for the hit.
Well, you asked last week if Tate filed his flight plan, and apparently Ray Berry saw it as well.
Well, those kind of things will make you keep it on the ground.
Chris Moore back into punt again. And that dangerous Leo Lewis, a 65-yard punt return last time, back deep for the Vikings. And the whistles stop the play. And a delay of game on the Tampa Bay Bucks. So Carlos will be pushed back. Or make that 4. Ray Perkins drafted himself an athlete, he feels, in Chris Moore, looking to improve a miserable punting game from last year.
And he's come through, too. He's had good games the last couple of weeks, and I think they're really pleased with his progress. Oh, he really hits a good one here.
4-0 on the hang time, and here's Lewis. And Lewis grabbed from behind by Broderick Thomas. So the #1 draft pick out of Nebraska, playing in situation defenses only, and of course on special teams, doing a good job. A 46-yard punt, 12-yard return by Leo Lewis. What do you like about what Kramer is doing other than the obvious?
I think spreading the ball around, JB, getting everybody involved in the offense. They're running the ball well. He's play pass. He's put the ball in the head in Jordan's hands. He's put the ball on the outside in Anthony Carter's hands. Darren Nelson has been a factor in the game. Everybody's involved in the offense.
Hassan Jones to the near side, Anthony Carter to the far. 1st and 10 for the Vikes. Ball at their own 32. Play action, looking for Jones. He's got him across the middle for the 1st down. Hassan Jones up near midfield, tackled by Rod Jones.
Now, that's the thing you can do when you get some type of running game going. When you got your running game going, you can hit those big backs up in there, and you can do things. Watch the play fake to the back on the bottom of the screen. There's the play fake to Anderson, and then Tommy just straightens up and throws a strike in there to Hassan Jones. You can do those things when you make the linebackers play tight, and the way you make them play tight is you have to be able to run the ball.
Jones to the far side this time. 1st and 10, ball at the 49. And this may be called against Gary Zimmerman, who actually moved well before the count even started.
That's the type thing that's really hurt him this year.
As a matter of fact, what did Burns say about that?
Well, he said you couldn't put your finger on one particular thing. It wasn't a bad decision, but if it wasn't a bad decision by the quarterback, then it was an offensive lineman mistake. It was a dropped ball. It was a penalty. It was an interception. It was a fumble. A combination of things.
As a matter of fact, Tim Irwin said, hey, I only made one mistake last week, Coach.
Coach says you don't get one mistake. If I give you one mistake, I got to give the other 11, the other 10 a mistake. Then you got 11 mistakes. You can't win that way.
Kramer back to pass on 1st and 15. Throws it low. Alfred Anderson tries to scoop it up. Official right on top of the play. No catch. As we wind down toward the 2-minute mark. Vikings on top, 10-0.
Well, that shows the experience in Tommy Kramer. As he's looking downfield, he has to move around in the pocket a little bit. Avoids the sack.
You know, in talking about the Vikings' troubles, Jerry Burns said he really finds no fault in how hard the guys are playing. They just aren't playing.
It seems to be mental mistakes, as we said at the top of the thing. They've got great people on this team. They're just not playing together very well.
2nd and 15. Looking for Jones. And it's complete. Hassan Jones. About a yard shy of the 1st down marker. Ricky Reynolds pushes him out of bounds.
Well, at the top of your screen up there, here he is. It's just a simple out. And now watch Tommy Kramer. A little half sprint to his right behind Tim Irwin. And then watch this ball. It's thrown on the line. The ball is thrown where it should be, low and outside.
Hassan Jones, 4th-year player out of Florida State. Brings up a 3rd and 1 for the Vikes. Jones caught 4 balls for 44 yards last week against the Steelers. On the ground, Fenny straight ahead. Looks to have the 1st down. It'll be close.
Well, Tommy's going to try to get his 1st down, then take the 2-minute warning, come over to the sideline and get his heads together with Bob Snelker and the coaching staff and try to get something done this last 2 minutes here.
This looks to be close enough for a measurement, too. And we're at the 2-minute mark of the 1st half. Tommy Kramer coolly, calmly engineering the Vikes drive. They lead it by 10. Distribution by Tommy Kramer, and doesn't appear to be much of them allowing the off-the-field frustrations that we alluded to at the top of the show to affect their play on the field.
Well, you know, JB, I think that sort of thing comes out when things are going bad. Right now, they're up 10-0, and when you start winning, you start playing well, all that stuff goes away.
As a matter of fact, you had a great line, and we'll talk about that in a second, as Bucky Scribner gets this punt away. And the Bucks will bring it out to their own 20. We talked about the problems that the Vikings are having off the field, but you said winning cures a lot of things.
Yeah, winning can cure the common cold. I mean, you start winning, it doesn't matter what's wrong with you, your injuries, whether it's a knee, hand, whatever. You just start winning, the injuries heal quicker, and everything goes much better. And you take a guy like this with a group of all-pro type players he has. This team is a good football team. They've got some problems off the field right now. They're not playing solid on the field for various reasons, but this is still a very good football team.
No fingers have been pointed at Jerry Burns at all. The players say he's a player's coach. 1st and 10 for the Bucks at their own 20. Testaverde going up top for Hill. Throws it slightly behind Bruce Hill. Incomplete. So Testaverde trying to move his team with 1:45 remaining. Tampa Bay with 2 timeouts remaining on this drive.
Well, then he needs to be careful throwing the ball in a crowd of people like that. The worst place to turn the ball over, of course, is right down here. He hasn't done that this year, and it's made him a much solider quarterback. It's awfully nice to have a veteran like Joe Ferguson out there signaling the plays, somebody that Testaverde can talk to, a real veteran that can help him.
Willie Drury in for the 3rd wide out for the Bucks. 2nd and 10. Testaverde looking up top for Drury. Step for step that time, Ike Hope providing the coverage. And don't forget, coming up at halftime, we'll take you back to New York to Brent and Irv, NFL Today, and they'll have all the scores, highlights, and the latest information. And Pat O'Brien with the NFL video log. This guy does a great job of bringing you the offbeat information around any sport. That'll all be coming your way in just a few moments at halftime.
Don't force anything down here. If you don't have what you want, don't force the ball.
On 3rd and 10 from the shotgun. Going up top for Carrier. Just over the outstretched right hand of Mark Carrier. And give the Vikings defense credit. Good pressure as Al Noga was starting to apply pressure to Vinny Testaverde.
Well, you know, even though they don't get to him, JB, they hurry him. They hurry him. They make him step up in the pocket. They make him rush everything. See right here, here comes the outside pressure. They make him step up. And because of that, his timing is a little bit off, and he makes the overthrow.
And Chris Moore receiving a lot of duty today for the Bucs. Gets away another one. This one's 4-6 hang time. Missed tackle again, but Don Smith comes in to finish him up. 4-6 hang time by Chris Moore allowed the cover team plenty of time to get down, but a missed tackle. Backfield, a flag is thrown near where Alfred Anderson was run out of bounds, and Kramer showing a little bit of scramble in his old legs. But it's going to go against the Vikings.
Holding, number 69 on the offense, still first down.
Well, they catch Todd Callis on the holding that time, and you take these two. Here's the defense over here for the Bucs. There's Harry Hamilton, 39, Mark Robinson, number 30. Two really smart safeties, kind of direct traffic back there in the secondary. Their interceptions are up, and that's because they've gotten a better pass rush out of those front people. Two extremely smart safeties that do a good job of helping the corners out.
As a matter of fact, Ray Perkins said because of Hamilton, Robinson, and Eugene Marv last year, they provided the glue for their young Bucs defense. 1st and 10. And with the penalty tacked on, that'll make it a 1st and 6. As Kramer goes back to pass, trying to make it up. Looking for Anthony Carter, but Ricky Reynolds got a hand in on that pass. We'll bring up a 2nd and 16.
Well, when they come out of the huddle, the defense really needs to find out where that guy right there is located, because he's been their big play guy, and he is a dangerous, dangerous receiver.
And given the frustrations that he's expressed all week about his own situation, it's got to be a nice sign for the Vikings to see him smiling for a change.
See him smiling and catching passes. That's what you want to see. You want to keep that guy happy.
Carter and Nelson to the near side. 2nd and 16. Kramer pumping left, going right. Intended receiver Hassan Jones, but Ricky Reynolds pushed him out of that catch.
You know, a defense knows that they're short of time right now prior to the half, so they're going to try to get the ball, the clock stopped by throwing the ball outside. In that case, Ricky Reynolds applying a little tighter coverage. Nice job.
1:04 remaining in the first half. Bucs trailing by 10. The one thing that the Bucs did not want to do was to have to play catch-up. But again, they're not down as much as they perhaps could be against this very potent Vikings team.
Exactly. 10 points is really nothing. If they can go in 10-0, it's still, the game is still in front of them.
3 wide outs in. Kramer dumps it off to Anderson. And Anderson gets it up near midfield. He's going to be well shy of the first down marker. And the clock is stopped as Minnesota calls timeout with 52 seconds remaining in the first half. Tommy Kramer and Wade Wilson, best of friends.
They do get along well. They are friends. They do understand the situation with this ball club, that when you have two quarterbacks that are extremely capable, and both of them are, that when one guy's not going so well, that Jerry Burns is going to go to the other guy. And I'm not sure that Wade Wilson likes it. I certainly wouldn't. I wouldn't think Tommy Kramer would like it. That's that competitive fire within both of those guys. But it's a situation that they're in, and I think they both have enough class to make the most out of it and do whatever's best for the ball club.
Jerry Burns answered that question honestly when you ask him if Wade Wilson could handle being yanked out. He says, I don't think so.
Nope, said he didn't think he could. And you don't expect him to. You don't want a guy that will accept it.
Bucky Scribner into punt for the Vikes. And Futrell takes it at his own 10 and drops at the 15. Rick Finney down on the cover team. And there is a flag on the play back near midfield. And that one will be against Tampa. And boy, are they not fortunate, the Vikes.
Exactly. That penalty will give them a first down at midfield with 43 seconds to play, which is plenty of time to do some business.
Left side of the defensive line. First down.
And Kenny ought to check that. That previous timeout was charged to Tampa Bay. So the Vikings have all 3 timeouts remaining. And plenty of time, 43 seconds.
Plenty of time with the ball at midfield. 40 seconds is all the time you need.
First and 10, ball at the 46 of the Bucks. Out of the pro set. Jordan in motion. Kramer with time, overthrows. It looks as if the intended receiver was Hassan Jones, although both Jones and Steve Jordan were in that vicinity.
I think you're right, JB. I think it was intended for Hassan Jones, and the ball just got away from Tommy, sailed on him. I guess if you're going to throw one, let it sail on you. It needs to be high and away. That you'll get in trouble. Don't throw the interception right here.
What's the rep on Tommy Kramer? Good arm, better short passer?
I think at one time Tommy Kramer could throw any kind of pass you want. Of course, Father Time takes a lot of things away from all of us. I don't think he has quite the arm strength that he used to have, but he can still throw the ball, and he's smart.
Nelson and Finney in the backfield on 2nd and 10. Going up top for Carter. And overthrown.
Well, again, I think Tommy's just throwing the ball away. I think he read the safety.
Tonight on 60 Minutes. That's tomorrow night. But tonight it starts with 60 Minutes. All he wanted was to put a couple of kids from the neighborhood on a basketball team, but you just don't do that in this neighborhood. 60 Minutes coming up tonight on CBS. Third and 10 for the Vikes. 32 seconds remaining in the half. And Kramer, it's intercepted by Hamilton. And he's got room. Harry Hamilton still on his feet, dragged down at about the 27-yard line with 18 seconds remaining. Hassan Jones stops him. A 43-yard return by Hamilton, his second interception of the afternoon.
Well, a little advised by Tommy. I'm sure that he knows this. He gets back, and it's a drive back. He gets a little heat right here, makes him hold the ball a little bit longer. I don't think he ever saw Hamilton. I think he was just trying to get the ball underneath and take whatever he could get. Never saw. And, of course, when Harry Hamilton comes up with it, great ability back there, can run, and there's an example of it right there. There's those safeties coming into play.
The younger players on the Bucks team refer to both Hamilton and Mark Robinson as the students of the game. Probably ought to be called the professors. And keep in mind, Donald Igwe-Buike, I'm sure wants to atone for that 46-yard miss. Bucks first and 10 at the 27 of Minnesota.
It's like Vinny's trying to get to an audible. The crowd's giving him a little bit of a problem.
They've worked on a silent count. Underthrows Bruce Hill. Keith Millard with the heavy pressure on Testaverde.
Again, JB, they don't get the sack, but they everything. They make him throw the ball before he would really like to, and as a result, you can't place the ball where you want it. Not a sack, a hurry.
14 seconds remaining in the first half. A 2nd and 10. Testaverde only 2 of 12 on the afternoon for a grand total of only 23 yards. And a second consecutive underthrown pass, this time from Mark Carrier.
You know, JB, it looks to me like they're getting around him so much and they're putting so much pressure on him that he's starting to anticipate that pressure. And he shouldn't do that. Stand up in there and hold that ball. But it looks like he's starting to anticipate it, rushing things, and not getting to what he needs on the ball.
As it brings up a 3rd and 10, Kenny, with the guy who has the reputation of having that big gun, that strong arm, as many underthrown passes as we've seen, has to be an indication of something.
I think it's an indication of not using the proper mechanics, his footwork, because he's rushing.
In and out of the hands of Willie Drury. Now that was not Testaverde's fault. That should have been caught.
Not really. You'd like for your receivers to come up. It would have been a tough catch, but you'd like for him to come up with it. Again, the ball not where it probably should have been, but because rushed out of the pocket and hurried again. Here's an example of it right here. It's their 4 wide receiver situation, straight drop back thing, but look at all the pressure. They're coming from everywhere. It's like a jailbreak. And then he finally gets outside there, and he has to hurry everything and can't get the ball where he wants it.
Like a jailbreak.
Like a jailbreak. It's busy back there.
Donald Igwe-Buike, with 4 seconds left, will attempt a 44-yarder. Chris Ford doing the holding. It's up, and this one is plenty long enough, and it's good enough. So Donald Igwe-Buike makes amends for a missed 46-yarder earlier, and finally putting Tampa Bay on the board. And a man who owns a set of the most accurate toes in the NFL.
Well, I think those are awfully important points right there, JB. To go in with something, you go in with in a mental frame of mind that, hey, we got on the board. It's only 7-point difference. Let's come out in the second half and get after them.
Do you think Ray Perkins has an awful lot to talk about?
I think he'll have plenty.
That's the end of the first half with the score: Minnesota 10, Tampa Bay 3. Quarterback for the Minnesota Vikings, but injured his hand on this play here in the first quarter.
Well, nose man Kurt Jarvis gets the penetration, number 95 for the Bucs. He gets back there in the pocket. You're going to see him right here. He gets that big paw out there and slaps Wade Wilson right there, and I understand that what he comes out of that with is a fracture in his thumb.
And Wade had started off strong, but he did go out after that play to have that hand x-rayed. Tommy Kramer came in, and the Vikings did not lose a beat at all.
Well, the veteran quarterback sees him playing that far off. Anthony Carter raises up, gets the ball to him quickly for the touchdown.
Now, I talked a little bit about how Minnesota wasn't particularly flashy in the first half, but let's talk about what Jerry Burns' concerns were. Has Minnesota cut down on the mistakes from last week against Pittsburgh?
I really don't think they have. If you look at them this first half, they've had a couple of penalties. They've had some missed assignments. Kramer's turned the ball over with a couple of interceptions, but their defense is keeping them up there playing extremely well.
More specifically, Minnesota has turned the ball over 3 times, but it hasn't hurt them, costing them only 3 points. Now, Tommy Kramer has done the job, 11 of 19 for 111 yards, 1 touchdown, but the big stat there, 2 interceptions for Tommy Kramer. What do you look for Tampa Bay to do in the second half to try to get back into the game?
Well, I think they ought to do more on first down. They got in a habit of just running the ball on first down, and it's hard to play pass on first down unless they can get some running going. So I think they need to play pass a little bit more, throw the ball a little bit more on the early down so that Testaverde can get his confidence going. When he plays confident, then the entire offense plays confident around him.
We've talked so much about Testaverde over the past couple of weeks being a night and day different type of ball player. How do you assess the first half with him?
Well, I think he has to get things going. He has to make some big plays. You look to your quarterback to get the offense going. He's got to make some big plays.
All right, CBS Sports coverage of NFL football will continue after this message and a word from your local station.
Oldsmobile. Step into the future now at your Oldsmobile dealer. GTE. At GTE, the power is on. And by new Keystone and Keystone Light, bottled beer taste in a can. Wouldn't that be great?
The Metrodome is also the home of the University of Minnesota Gophers football team, who played here last night against Indiana State. And from a Vikings fan standpoint, hopefully they set the tone. They won 34-14. Vikings starting the third quarter here, leading by 7, 10-3. We talked a little bit about Wade Wilson injuring that left hand of his, and he does have a broken bone in that left hand. He's got it wrapped and obviously will not be seeing any duty the second half unless it's most dire.
You know, you wonder how that will affect him once he does start playing again. And I think that depends on where the broken bone is in the thumb, because you put your hands under the center, that the ball comes up awfully hard, and it just depends on where his hand is fractured.
And as you pointed out in the first half, if anything were to happen to Tommy Kramer, Alan Rice would be pressed into emergency duty, the running back, 6-year player out of Baylor. Snake, the Bucs, while not looking and being very productive in the first half, have to have some good feeling in the fact that they only trailed by a touchdown.
I think so, and I think you have to look at their defense for that. Those two safeties back there, they've turned the ball over. They've picked off Kramer a couple of times, and they've kept them in here. And now it's up to Vinny Testaverde and the offense to get some things going, to keep the defense off the field and keep them rested. Vinny's got to make the plays. He's the guy you look to.
Ray Perkins says he expects and will deliver a winning team in his 3rd season. This is it. Darren Nelson back deep for the Minnesota Vikings. Donald Igwe-Buike kicking off to Nelson. And Nelson takes it a yard into his own end zone across the 10. He's got some room and pushed out of bounds by Donnie Elder at about the 23-yard line. So Tommy Kramer comes on to start the second half.
Well, you look at Tommy's performance in the first half, and I thought he played pretty well, you know, spreading the ball around. He made 2 bad decisions. He threw the 2 interceptions, which really they got out of it without being injured, without being harmed too much. And their turnovers only cost them 3 points. They had 3 turnovers, which cost them 3. I think they're pretty lucky in that respect.
1st and 10 for the Vikes. Ball at their own 29. Hassan Jones to the near side. This is Anthony Carter in motion. DJ Dozier, the ball carrier, across the 30, still on his feet. And DJ Dozier fighting hard across the 35 to about the 36-yard line. 7-yard pickup.
Well, a good first down play, and that's what you've got to have to get all of your offense involved. They came out this time with a 2 tight end set. And I think the reason they come out in their 2 tight ends is to secure the corners. Most of the pressure from the Buck defense has been coming from the outside. The 2 tight end situation helps combat that.
On 2nd and 3, the big back attack in for the Vikings. Fenny and Anderson.
Good play pass down here. I mean, whether or not they will, who knows, but it is a good play pass down, 2nd and short.
Leo Lewis in motion, and this is Fenny. And Fenny maybe a yard on the play, wrapped up by Sean Lee, 6'2", 285 from North Alabama, a project player for Ray Perkins. Says he really thinks he can shape this big guy into some kind of a player.
Ray's gotten an awful lot out of all of his front people. Jarvis, Davis, Goff, Weston, they're all applying more pressure than they have in the past. One of the things he wanted to work on in training camp. Players have also said that Ray Perkins, known as Steely Blue, has loosened up a little bit this year. Yeah, I think he smiled one time this year.
3rd and 2 for the Vikes. Dozier and Anderson in the backfield. Anderson, the up back. And this is Anderson, and Anderson is met head on. Not sure whether he made the first down. Close. And Sean Lee, all 285 pounds of him, right in the middle of the gang tackle. Donnie Elder up there in his secondary position, putting on a hit too. That secondary group of Rod Jones, Ricky Reynolds, those 2 safeties, they'll come up and pop you. Close enough for a measurement. You know, Jerry Burns really gave the Tampa Bay defense a huge compliment when he compared them to the Houston Oilers. Compared them to the guys over in the House of Pain in Houston, and guys that really run to the football. Even, he said, even maybe borderline hitting a little bit late. Not all late. He said it was just due to enthusiasm. I like that. Enthusiasm. Enthusiasm. And what Jerry Burns likes right now is that the Vikes have got a first down. Ball marked at their own 39. Just underway in the 3rd quarter. Vikes leading it 10-3. Tommy Kramer in at quarterback. Wade Wilson goes out injured in the 1st quarter. Leo Lewis in motion. Swing pass to DJ Dozier, who loses the handle on the pass. Design little swing pass. You take the ball out from under the center and you get it to the back as quick as you possibly can. The thing you have to remember with that type place is keep the ball out in front of him, because he can be a lateral if you throw it behind. The backs in on 2nd down here. Anderson and Dozier. And Jerry Burns, a man who never, ever smiles when he's thinking deep.
Oh, God. He was fun to talk to yesterday. He was concerned about a little bit of everything with his football team. He even had something to say about the officiating.
Kept us laughing, and he still wasn't smiling. Flag on a play as the ball is thrown complete to Steve Jordan, but this should go against the Minnesota Vikings. Looked like that right tackle, Tim Irwin, was the guilty party that time. And Irwin was the one who asked Coach Burns last week, my gosh, I only made one move. One bad mistake, that is.
Then, you know, you ask if I thought they had eliminated some of those things. That's the type thing that they've been doing all year.
Well, I'm sure Tim Irwin will be glad to know that that mistake was attributed to Steve Jordan.
Steve Jordan.
He was in on it, though.
That's the guy that they've got to get involved in their offense. If you can get the ball to Steve Jordan some and get the ball to the back some, it takes an awful lot of pressure off of Hassan Jones and off of Anthony Carter on the outside.
Tim Irwin's a big guy to be arguing with, too. 6'7".
Not me.
295.
You argue with him.
2nd and 15 for the Vikings. Kramer under pressure. Murphy misses the sack. And Kramer runs for his life out of bounds at the 39. A 5-yard bit of running by Kramer.
Yeah, Tommy trying to use a little wrinkle there. He needs to just get out of bounds and take care of himself, but enough presence to know that pressure coming from the outside, duck up in there and get what you can. Don't turn the ball over as he did in the first half.
Kramer doing his best to engineer a winning effort here today to try to put aside some of the off-the-field problems here in Minnesota.
Good opportunity for Tommy to get in and get some things done and get some playing time.
On 3rd and 10, dime defensive package in for the Bucs. Kramer going up top for Carter. And an amazing effort that Carter was even able to make the adjustment on that route because that ball was poorly thrown.
Poorly thrown ball. The ball just hangs too far in the air, gives the safeties and the corners time to react, and this guy's going to draw a tremendous crowd anyway. Here you see the respect they give him. You see Rod Jones playing off 8-10 yards. He's going to do kind of a corner, a break-out route, but look at the white shirts. Jones has got it played well. Now they play volleyball with it a little bit. Here comes Donnie Elder to get his piece in. Ricochet.
Carter actually prevented an interception by Rod Jones. Only the 2nd time Rich will make that Bucky Scribner in for punting purposes for the Vikings. Back deep is Bobby Futrell. And it takes a Tampa roll as the ball rolls out at the 23-yard line. So the Bucs will take over when we come back. Sports College Football features Virginia and Clemson. Now, Clemson, of course, looking to rebound from a 4-point loss yesterday to Duke University, a team that Virginia has already beaten. And, of course, Virginia, 4 straight victories after losing last year in the kickoff classic to Notre Dame. Virginia playing some good football. That'll be a nice matchup next week right here on CBS. 10-3 here in Minneapolis. Vikings on top. 11:53 remaining in the 3rd quarter.
Well, then he's got to get something started. They've been very inconsistent, and they've hurt him all day. He's got to go here.
Lars Tate is the ball carrier.
And see, they've seemed to get into somewhat of a rut or a habit of running the ball on 1st down and then creating the long yardage situations and having to throw as opposed to doing some short things.
4-yard gain on the play, and you talked about how Tampa has to get something going, Snake. They have not been very effective on their last 4 possessions.
Well, as you see it right there, you see punt, 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 field goal. That's the 3 points that they've got, and they've been inconsistent. But the defense of the Tampa Bay's defense is keeping them in the game. 2nd
and 6. Bruce Hill in motion. Keith Millard on top of Testaverde, and he's got him. Sack number 1 of the day for Millard. He was ready to play yesterday. Well, one of the important matchups, as we said, was McHale on Millard, and there he passes him off, and then they do a twist with Dolman, and they're both in there, and they really do Finney a favor by not really hammering him. Millard lets up on him. You're not going to keep Millard out of there all day. The sergeant, Lloyd Peters.
He said his team has not been playing with enough discipline, not reading their keys and not making the right moves.
Testaverde faced with 3rd and 15 from his own 18. 4 wideouts in. For Carrier and thrown low again. And the underthrown passes by Vinny Testaverde continue. Carl Lee on the coverage. And Vinny Testaverde having his difficulties today, 11 consecutive incompletions, and a good portion of those, at least 8 to 9, Kenny, underthrown.
Yeah, underthrowing the ball. And I think he's starting to feel the rush a little bit. You're not supposed to react to that rush, be oblivious to it, but I think he, oops.
And Chris Moore had to make an adjustment on not a very good snap that time. The snapper was Sam Otto, the former Minnesota Viking player. And the ball rolls dead at about the 46. It winds up being a 27-yard punt. That's not Chris Moore's fault.
Here's what happens. Watch where the snap comes from, JB. It's to the right. Watch Chris Moore step to his right, which leads him into the side where all the pressure was coming from, a more direct snap. They may have avoided that.
And Ike Holt just inches away from blocking.
There's a step to the right by Moore, the punter. It moves him to the side where the pressure's coming. It slows his timing down. As a result, there's the block.
And the end result is good field position for the Vikings. Ball at the 46 of Tampa. Kramer, play action. Looking for Leo Lewis. Throws behind him. Ricky Reynolds on the coverage. Minnesota fans wanted pass interference, but Kramer actually threw that ball well behind Leo Lewis.
There's a player, huh? How about that one? What a dog. Tommy got away with one right there, JB. The ball, you throw the ball outside to your outside receivers, one thing has to happen. The ball has to be thrown to the outside. That time, Tommy threw it behind him.
Nelson and Anderson in the backfield for the Vikes. Anderson in motion. Kramer back on 2nd and 10. Swing pass to Nelson. And Nelson down to the near the 40. 5-yard play for the Vikes. Irvin Randall on the stop.
Well, anyway, you can get the ball in Darren Nelson's hands, whether he's running the ball or whether you try to swing him out as they did there. You get him the ball outside and let him use his broken field running on a linebacker. That's a matchup that you try to get.
Nickel defensive package in for the Bucks. Bobby Futrell in at the 5th defensive back position. Inside handoff to Rice, and Rice upended. Nice tackle by Mark Robinson, and that'll be shy of the 1st down marker.
Really nice play for that guy to come up out of the secondary, Mark Robinson, to make that kind of play. It's a situation that a run in this situation is very good. They pull both their guards and they pull the tackle Zimmerman out front, and then watch Mark Robinson at the top of your screen just flying to the ball right there, make the play. Good support.
Perkins loves that kind of play. Bucky Scribner. In to punt, Mark Rodenhauser, the snapper. Bobby Futrell back for the Bucks. And Scribner trying to aim it to the corner.
Yeah.
Nice. He needs that for his confidence. 37-yarder. And Testaverde will be operating deep in his own territory. This year came close to being cut this week. Got a confidence booster with that punt, pushing the Bucks back to their own 2-yard line. And coming up next, it'll be a good one. Game 2 of the doubleheader, Rams and 49ers. On the ground for maybe 2 yards.
First thing down here, JB, the quarterback needs to remember is the first thing that has to happen. Of course, you want to get your 1st down and work the ball out, but you have to get the ball out at least past the 5-yard line so that you give your punter his entire 15 yards back into that end zone to get the ball out of there. So you got to get the ball out past the 5.
Where is the breathing room marker-wise for the Bucs on this drive?
Any place outside, or breathing room-wise, get the ball out past the 20-yard line where you get into your normal offense.
2nd and 8. Tate. Up near that breathing room, they've got the first down on that run by Lars Tate. Keith Millard on the stop.
There you go. First things first. Get the ball out of there and then get out where you can get into all of your offense. Here you're going to see it's just a plain vanilla. Nothing they do is a little crisscross block. They pull John Brewitt, number 69. He kicks out on the linebacker. Tate cuts off of him for a nice gain.
Including this drive, Tampa Bay only 25 total yards offensively since their first drive of the game.
Hard to get it done that way.
Howard and Tate backers in on first down. This is Tate. And Tate looking for a little room on the right side of the line. Didn't find much, only a yard.
Here you are playing in the backfield. There you are playing tailback, JB, and they pitch the ball to you, and you're going to break it outside, and look at all this you're going to run into. There they are. They're stringing it up. There's Millard, 75. There comes Dolman, 56. Merriweather, 57. The Purple Gang.
Boy, Millard's a horse, throwing guys out of the way. He was fired up yesterday when we were talking to him.
Terrific player.
2nd and 9. Ball at the 15 of Tampa. Tate, the ball carrier, with daylight. First down run plus about 5. So Lars Tate delivering big on the ground, a 13-yard run by the University of Georgia graduate.
Draws always work well against teams that get a lot of penetration from their defensive line. Tom McHale, 73, he lets Millard go outside, just pushes him outside, and Tate cuts underneath that. Then once he gets in the secondary, lowers his shoulder for the first down.
Good job by McHale, who interestingly said he didn't think Millard was all that strong. Howard, the ball carrier. Quick. Flag on a play as Howard is pushed out of bounds by Travis Curtis. But there is a flag on a play, and it'll go against Tampa. Interesting comment by Tom McHale, and he can only say that about Millard not being all that strong because he's a pretty big fella himself.
Well, he said he's only 6'5" and about 260. Here's our call.
34 on the offense, still first down.
Yeah, Sam Millard was only 6'5", about 260. I think that's pretty big, don't you?
For the Saints, Bobby Hebert back in at quarterback after being knocked woozy last week by these Bucks. It'll be 1st and 20. For the Bucks, ball at the 19. James Wilder in at running back, replacing William Howard. Carrier and Hill to the near side. Here's the veteran. No daylight on the right side of that line.
Look at here. Look at this guy. Check that outfit out, JB. It's amazing what you can do with an old bench press.
Boy, I tell you, it takes a set of lungs to operate that throughout the game. 2nd and 18 for the Bucks. Hill and Carrier back to the near side. Wilder and Smith. Don Smith in at the back. Testaverde under pressure from Millard. Complete to Smith. And he loses the ball. Minnesota recovers. With an impressive run, turns it into a nightmare as he fumbles the ball, and Reggie Rutland comes up with the recovery.
Well, Benny gets an awful lot of heat, as he's been getting all day. Delivers the ball to the right guy, Don Smith, former quarterback from Mississippi State. Good broken field runner, but when you see all that Purple Gang coming at you, Studwell and company, you got to put the ball away.
Vikes, great field position again, the 40 of the Bucks. Anderson on first down, running hard. Here's Reggie Rutland, the alert man, recovering that fumble.
You talk to those guys in the secondary, you know, and they really enjoy playing back there because they get that tremendous pass rush from Millard and Dolman and Newton and Noga and company, and makes it fun to play back there when those quarterbacks have to rush everything.
And did a nice job taking over for the injured Ike Holt last season. Played well. And that power back attack ends for the Vikings. Finney and Anderson on 2nd and 8. This is Finney. Finney initially stopped. Good second effort. And he gets up. Looks like he's got the first down. Good second effort.
Great effort after Kurt Jarvis, a nose man, made the penetration.
The crowd has a reason to come alive here at the Metrodome. Vikings on the march. James Brown along with Ken Stabler. Vikings leading it by only a touchdown, but threatening here in the third quarter. 4:41 left in the third.
Well, you know, the Buck offense has to do something, JB. They can't expect this group, and I think the strength of this team is that defensive unit, but they can't expect them to stay out there that long every series and not wear down.
And a first down for the Vikings. Snake last week with the Steelers so effectively using the traffic game, I thought we might have seen a little more of that from the Bucks today.
I think so. If your running game, if you can establish something and get it going and then throw your traps in there. But what the running game that they have to establish is their straight ahead stuff, and they really haven't been able to do it. And you complement that with the traps.
Anthony Carter to the near side. This is DJ Dozier, and Dozier spinning his way for 5 yards on that carry near the 25-yard line. Urban Randall on the tackle. You know, I'm sure Jerry Burns will take it any way he can get it. Not looking pretty, but effective on the ground.
As long as you get in to get something going. This team has had some problems on the field, problems off the field. What'll cure all that is a good, solid win here at home.
2nd and 5. Leo Lewis, Anthony Carter to the left. This is Lewis in motion. Finney, the ball carrier, looking for room, doesn't have any. Give the credit to Harry Hamilton. Read that play and snuffed it out nicely.
Again, a back like Finney, who's not a real breakaway guy with great speed. When he hits up in there, force him outside. He can't outrun people. That gives safeties like Harry Hamilton here a chance to make the play.
Right side of that Tampa defensive line did a nice job of stretching the play out.
Forcing him outside.
Donnie Elder and Bobby Futrell come in as the 5th and 6th defensive backs for the Tampa Bay Bucks. And a timeout signaled by Minnesota. And Minnesota grinding it out on the ground and nursing a 1-touchdown lead. What's working well for Minnesota as they try to expand that 1-touchdown lead is keeping it on the ground, Snake.
Sure, much too early to start thinking in terms of working on the clock, but as long as the running game is going well for you, just stay with it until they stop it and get to something else.
That power back attack of Minnesota not doing a bad job. This is Jim Gustafson in motion. Kramer back to pass. Going up top for Lewis. He's open. He's got it. Touchdown, Minnesota.
JB, it's just a straight drop back situation. And what they did, they cleared out things underneath with Gustafson, and they ran a corner route with Leo Lewis, and it's a mismatch. And he beats him, he turns him around completely. Tommy puts the ball on the money for the touchdown.
And Rich Carlos with the point after, and it's good. So Minnesota expands that lead over the Tampa Bay Bucks, 17-3. Leo Lewis, not very surprising that he also was a track star in high school.
Got that great speed. You put him in there along with Anthony Carter, Hassan Jones. They've got big play capabilities with those people.
5 plays covering 40 yards, 152, culminated with a 28-yard pass from Tommy Kramer. And we've got a strong one coming up next. You want to stay right here tuned in to CBS, as it'll be the Rams and the 49ers coming up in Snake. That ought to be a battle.
Well, early game to try to find out who's the power of that Western Division. Two really well-coached teams, two good quarterbacks in Montana and Jim Everett, two strong defenses, solid teams, both of them.
Now, of course, Montana and Rice is the more celebrated duo, but Everett's got a nice receiver himself.
I think you take Henry Ellard and you put him in there with Everett, and they have the big play capabilities also.
Oh, that'll be coming up next right here on CBS. Game 2 of doubleheader Sunday right here on CBS.
Well, it's time for the Bucs offense to strap it on and get something done. I mean, they've got to carry their load. They've got to do what they can. They've asked their defense to stay out there just, the entire second half, and sooner or later they're going to get to them, as Kramer did that time. Offense has got to get something done.
Rich Carlos kicking off in the direction of Donnie Elder, who takes it at his own 5. Across the 20. Trying to get to the outside. And flags are thrown on a play as Reggie Rutland tries to cow drive him into the ground. Looks like a face mask.
Little bulldogging.
Old city boy like me shouldn't try to talk about those.
Let us Cowboys handle that.
Face mask, number 48 for the kickers. First down.
Here it is right here. Looks like Rutland, number 48. There's Elder, lowers his head, and there he gets the old bulldog technique and takes him down.
I guess I won't be emceeing any rodeos, huh?
All right, Benny, it's time for you to stand up here, and it's time to do something right here. Everybody's going to look to him to make those plays. He's been underthrowing things. His offensive line really hasn't protected him that well, but he's got to make some plays. So how does he do it? I think they have to throw the ball down the field and quit that little stuff and challenge that defense.
And he's got decent field position starting from his own 38. James Wilder, the veteran and then running back.
There we go.
Play action. And he's in the grasp of Chris Doman. First sack of the game for him.
Well, it's hard to make things happen when you've got Chris Doman hanging all over you, Millard in your mustache all day long. It's really hard to make something happen. And look at the bottom of your screen, 56, there's Doman. Millard, both of them 7 or 8 yards in the backfield, disrupting everything, and there's the result.
He was one of those ball players, a little disgruntled as well, but said, hey, as opposed to getting real frustrating, I want to use this season for what, Snake?
Number 56, Doman's going to use this season for an audition. Sounds like he might be interested in taking his talents other places.
Complete to William Harris. Harris across the 35 to about the 37-yard line. Still quite a distance short of the first down. Snake, you talked about at the top of the game how important it was for Tampa Bay to be effective on first downs.
Well, you see that right there. You take your possessions, and in my mind, the most important down on the field is first down. You have to create. See that second 8, second 9, second 18, second 19 against the Minnesota Vikings. That will kill you.
On third down, 3rd and 11, 4 wideouts in for the Bucs. Doman on top of Testaverde, knocks it loose. And Testaverde picks it up and runs it. And Chris Doman was right on top of that.
They're just wreaking havoc back there around the quarterback. He's not getting any pass protection. And the reason he's not getting it is because the offensive line is not doing the job, because they've created these long yardage situations. Everybody knows they're going to throw, and here they come.
Keep in mind, as Chris Moore attempts another punt, Sam Otto did not give him a good snap last time. He gets one this time. And Leo Lewis has to signal for the fair catch at about the 16. Near the 5-second mark on hang time, that time by Chris Moore. $17-3 ball game. Vikings on top. Coming to you from the Metrodome here in Minneapolis, Minnesota. James Brown along with Kent Stabler. 1 minute remaining. And Snake, although folks would have thought that the Vikings would have had a very serious practice session coming off of a 1-2 start, the guys were really kind of loose and carefree yesterday in practice.
Monty Kiffin, the linebacker coach, was in a classroom thing and talking to his linebackers, and he made the comment that offensive linemen are the worst athletes on the field. The offensive linemen heard that. As a result, they do a tape job to him, tape him to the goalpost. That breaks the tension up when times are bad.
They made him pay the price, and Darren Nelson doing a good job on the ground. 7-yard run by Darren Nelson, showing nice shifty moves.
And see, this is what we were talking about earlier with the Bucs, JB. There's your first down play for 7 or 8 yards. Create those 2nd and 2s and 2nd and 3s. It makes things much, much easier than 2nd and 8, 2nd and 10. It just brings in more of your offense.
And specifically, the Vikes have 2nd and 3 on this play. Nelson again. Runs into a wall, that time wearing number 94, Big Golf, and we heard that smack all the way up here.
Well, there's a group that will get after you. There's Noga right there, Millard, Merriweather. They put an awful lot of pressure on you, and like we said earlier at the top of the show, if you play from behind against that group right there, whew,
and you know what? They are getting even more vicious. They're all taking karate right now. 11 guys on this team wanted to know what Joey Browner did so effectively to come back each year in great shape.
And it was his martial arts thing that Joey Browner's doing. He comes back to camp every year in the same shape that he left in, and they've contributed that to the martial arts things that he's doing.
Joey says he's not concerned at all about the guys getting too proficient. He's got a major league head start. Started taking the martial arts at age 13.
There's a guy that might be the best strong safety in the league, not real happy with the situation right here, and I think those are the kind of guys on your team, the Browners and the Carters and the Jordans. You have to keep those people happy if you can.
No question about it. That's the end of the 3rd quarter with the score of Minnesota 17, Tampa 3. We now pause for a word from your local station.
Like no other car in the world. The Upjohn Company. If you're concerned about hair loss, see your doctor. And by Miller Genuine Draft. Cold filtered for real draft taste. So tap into the cold.
A reason to cheer in Minnesota. Vikings on top by 14. And straight ahead for the first down, the power back, Rick Finney. You know, Rick Finney said he actually runs better as he gets tired.
You know, you get a lot of players that'll feel that way. Once you get all lathered up and you get loose, you get knocked around a little bit, and you start playing a little more reckless, and you start seeing things better, and you play a little better once you get that way. But in their situation, they're not going to get a guy who's going to carry the ball 20, 25 times a game. They're going to spread it around between Darren Nelson, between Finney, between the other backs.
Finney says his instincts take over when he gets tired. 1st and 10 for the Vikes. Ball at their own 28. Kramer gets it away to Alfred Anderson in time for the first down, plus about 5. And boy, did Kramer get rid of it just in time. Kevin Murphy was a Mack truck wanting to flatten him.
Well, they give a little cross action in the backfield. There comes Darren Nelson this way, Anderson the other way, and of course he just gives Tommy a little bit of push just to let him know that he's back there. All in a day's work for a quarterback.
Interesting how you noticed before that the defending players can sometimes ease up on quarterbacks, and that has to be because they may like those guys.
They may like them, and you appreciate guys that'll lighten up on you and take it easy on you. There's no use absolutely killing a guy when you can take it easy on him.
1st and 10. Nelson, nowhere to go, nowhere to hide.
Good
Maybe
job.
a yard.
Good job by the middle of that group to shut that down, to try to get something going here. They've got to force Minnesota's offense into the same thing that Minnesota's defense did to them. They've got to create those long yardage situations like here.
Were there ever any defensive players who you saw coming on you that you smiled and asked, please don't hurt me?
I started begging and pleading before we got our uniforms on. So I told Joe Green, please don't hurt me today.
2nd and 9 for the Vikes. Ball at the 45. Jordan in motion. Jordan, the intended receiver, Harry Hamilton all over him. No flag on the play.
Good coverage. Kramer trying to stick one in there. Put an awful lot on that ball. It would have been a terrific catch by Jordan. And Tommy needs to be careful with forcing that ball in there. Here's a shot of it here. Maybe we'll get to take a look at it. Here it is. Watch Tommy try to force this thing. Watch how hard he throws the ball. He really steps up and really right there. Really zips the ball in there. It would have been a good catch. A lot on that ball. Those balls are tipped up and intercepted.
Donnie Elder and Bobby Futrell in for the dime defensive package of Tampa. 3rd and 9 for the Vikes from the 45. Out of the shotgun. Kramer going up top for Carter. And excellent coverage by Rod Jones.
Good coverage.
And Carter appreciates it as he helps him off of the turf. So that brings up a punting situation for the Vikings. Bucky Scribner will be in to punt. You talked about those defensive players taking a little easy. I recall Joe Washington, the little running back from the Washington Redskins, mentioning getting picked up by Harry Carson in the air, and he was about to be slammed. He said, "Please, Harry,
come on,
please,
come on,
lay me down easy.
Give me a break. I'll buy dinner."
And Scribner with 4-3 hang time, no return by Bobby Futrell. So the Bucks will be started with not the greatest of field position when we come back.
Over the past decade, all other lines of cars have led Mercedes-Benz in one crucial category: depreciation. Which proves that sometimes great cars finish last. Mercedes-Benz, the resale legend.
Today's Duracell battery lasts up to 30% longer than the one from a few years back. Duracell. You can't top the Copperton.
In the thigh for extra comfort.
Decent afternoon for sure. Tommy Kramer, 14 of 27. Big play man Anthony Carter, 4 receptions for 61 yards. But if you ask the question why Tampa Bay is not getting the job done, you point the finger at Vinny Testaverde, 4 of 17 for only a total of 33 yards. Snake, is there a reason?
Well, I think the reason is number 75 for the Minnesota Vikings, number 56 for the Minnesota Vikings. With all due respect, they've just been hanging all over Vinny Testaverde. They've rushed him, they've made him throw the ball short, and they've just wreaked havoc in their backfield.
Well, given what Tampa Bay has to operate with, what adjustments do you make?
I don't know if there are any adjustments they can make. They've just got to get better performance out of their offensive linemen. Keep those guys out there. Don't let them get that kind of penetration so that Vinny can get something done.
Well, Vinny's got to get it done operating from his own 12, 1st and 10. And Don Smith still on his feet. Good 2nd and 3rd effort by Don Smith.
Well, I think if you look, JB, at 13 minutes left in the 4th quarter, you have to start thinking in terms of the time left. They have to have 2 scores, and things have not come easy for this offense. They've really got to make some big plays, and soon.
And this is exactly the kind of position that Minnesota wants Tampa Bay in.
Exactly, playing catch-up ball.
And that man there, Ray Perkins, said he dreaded this position. 2nd and 3. Hill in motion. Smith, the ball carrier, looking for room outside. And he's going to be shy of the 1st down by about 1.5 yards. Jesse Solomon in there on the tackle. Jesse Solomon suffered a knee injury the last game of the season last year. Shouldn't even be in there, Kenny.
Really surprised he's out here. We talked to him yesterday, and his knee is not 100%. He's the big play guy that comes up with forces the fumbles, comes up with the interceptions, but you see that heavily braced right knee right there.
Kind of the raw guy for the Vikes on defense. 3rd and 1 for the Bucks. 3 tight ends, including the newest tight end, Jackie Walker, number 85. This is Tate. He's got the 1st down and holds onto the ball. And amongst the 3 tacklers game tackling him, Carl Lee in on that trio. Travis Curtis with a little help.
Well, they have to get the ball out, JB, where they can do something. And we keep saying the same thing over and over, but that is the situation. They've got to create the short yardage situation so that Benny can drop back there, throw the ball down the field, and challenge the defense. They really haven't been able to establish anything. They've tried the short passes in the flats. Benny's underthrown them. They haven't run the ball very well. Just not playing very well on offense.
Carl Lee, left cornerback for the Vikes, limped off the field, replaced by Ike Holt. 1st and 10 for the Bucks. Going for Hill. He's got him. Bruce Hill across midfield. Perfect strike thrown by Testaverde.
There you go. Give him a little bit of time. Give your guy right there, Testaverde, some time, and then you can take the Bruce Hills and run them in those seams and try to challenge the defense as opposed to just taking all that small things. They've taken that away. Here he gets the time. He gets the good route. He reads it correctly, and as a result, they get a good gainer.
25-yard strike from Testaverde to Bruce Hill. And Reggie Rutland looks to be the player for the Vikings down on the field. They're starting right cornerback. And that's 2 starting cornerbacks for injured. Carl Lee limped off the field, and now Reggie Rutland down.
He was the injured player that time and collided with his own man in the process of the pass coverage. It looks like it's just going to be maybe some cobwebs in the head.
Seriously thick cobwebs at that.
Yeah.
Carl Lee shook off his slight ankle injury, is back out for the Vikings. Smith in motion. Howard, the ball carrier. Strung out. Slight gain at best. Great game taking place between Atlanta and Green Bay. And for more, let's go to New York and Brent Musburger.
All right, James, 4th quarter must be Green Bay Packer time. Watch this touchdown. Jeff Query fumbles inside the 5. Sterling Sharp scoops it up and takes it in. It is now 21-13, 13 minutes to go. Back to James.
All right, Brennan, after plays like that, you'll ask a player after the game, and he'll say, oh, yeah, that was a design play.
Design play, just had to figure out a place to call it.
2nd and 10 for the Bucks. James Wilder, the lone back. Chris Doman wants a sack.
Throw it away.
Meyer Merriweather. And Vinny Testaverde scrambling for his life, throws it incomplete.
Well, that's been the case all afternoon. The guy's just running for his life, and it's hard to make things happen that way. That man right there makes a lot of them run for his life.
And run into his direction. Chris Doman forced him there.
Straight drop back. You see Gruber up top on Dolman. Dolman beats Gruber, harasses Testaverde, and then it's just, you know, which way did they go? It's that jailbreak thing again. Here comes Merriweather. Just throw it away and for self-preservation only.
Which way did they go?
Which way did they go?
3rd and 10. 3 wideouts in for the Bucks.
Here they come again.
Testaverde going for Hill, in and out of the hands of Bruce Hill. And he won't get any help from the officials. Great coverage by Carl Lee.
Well, he finally gets some kind of protection, delivers the ball in the right spot, and then the guy doesn't come up with it. It's been that way all afternoon for the Bucks.
Well, we asked Bruce Hill, did he have any second thoughts about going across the middle against that hard-hitting secondary of the Vikes? He said, no way, even with Joey Browner back there. I think he might have fibbed a little bit. Moore. Fair caught by Leo Lewis, and the reason why, 4.9 hang time on that punt by Chris Moore. So Ray Perkins certainly getting his money's worth out of Chris Moore. Well, there's Jesse Solomon, spiritual leader on defense, and Snake, a spiritual leader he is indeed. This really is only the 2nd game back for him from an injury he suffered last year.
Well, I think we were surprised that he even tried to play last week, and he tried to play a little bit this week. And like you said, the guy who makes the big plays, there he is, number 54. You see him pull up right here with maybe a cartilage injury right there to his right leg, and they miss him. He's their big play guy.
A quick out from Kramer to Leo Lewis. And Lewis picks up maybe about 4, call it 5, on that swing pass.
Situation right here, Tommy Kramer, do things that will keep the ball rolling. possession-type things. Tell the backs, grab the ball, cover up the ball. The defense will be trying to strip it away. If you run on the outside, the sweeps and things, try to stay in bounds and work on the clock now. I think the clock becomes a factor now.
And the clock right now registering 10:20 remaining in the contest. Vikings on top by 14, 17-13. 2nd and 5 for Minnesota. This is Rick Finney. Off guard where he likes to run it. Up near the 37. And that's enough for the first down. And you mentioned before, Finney not that effective on the outside. He's got to go up off of the guards.
Exactly, JB. That's where these big back sets are best. You get in there behind the guards, Todd Kalis, David Huffman, those people, let them do their work, and then use that 235 pounds to control the ball. And this guy has a tremendous record for not fumbling the ball. Good, solid back.
Anderson and Dozier are the backs on 1st down and 10. Ball at the 39 of Minnesota. Quick out to Lewis again. And Mark Robinson all over the play, driving him back. Well, certainly Tommy Kramer has done the job, and you got to wonder what kind of effect that may have on Wade Wilson, who started off strong, but an injury took him out.
Started off pretty good, you know, and he's been criticized this year for some bad decisions, some interceptions leading into this game, and right now I think it's an opportunity for Tommy Kramer to establish himself as maybe the quarterback of this team. How that will affect Wade Wilson, it's up to the individual, how well he handles it. I'm not sure that he will handle a situation very well, but I think he will do what's best for the club.
If Wade is able to play next week, and certainly I don't know how, but if he is, I wonder if that, I would be interested to see whether Burns starts him or Kramer.
The old controversy's back.
Complete to Anthony Carter. Up near the 47.
That's the things we talked about, that right there. Just little possession type things, a short pass where you don't risk interception.
Jerry Burns, the players' coach, and the guys say they really try to go out. You know, during the strike, Burns, he said he was not going to keep one replacement player because he was dedicated to his guys. That really said something to the players, and they've been supportive of him ever since.
I agree, and I think they work really hard for that man. They want to do well for him. They want to win for him, a players' type coach.
Jim Gustafson in at wide receiver for 3 wideouts for the Vikes on 3rd and 5. Inside handoff to Dozier. And Dozier's got the first down. And if Ricky Reynolds had not wrapped him up, Dozier might have been gone for much more yardage.
Well, a good job, as you said, JB. Inside handoff from a passing formation. But watch number 72 get out there. Irwin, and watch Kalis, number 69, makes a nice block to kick out. Good read. First down.
You know, Burnsy said that he would not trade his 5 running backs for anybody in the league, although he would love to have a given big play back.
Like to have a little more speed back there, but he said the group as a whole, he wouldn't trade for any other 5 backs on a team because they fit so well into his scheme, the morale boost that they give, just good people to have.
Play action. Kramer on 1st down. Complete to Carter. First down. Ricky Reynolds slipped on the play. The result, a 19-yard pass completion. Kramer to Carter.
Well, Tommy sells the run real well. Watch this. Goes back, gives a hand to the fullback, gets back and sets. He gets a good pass protection, and that's where it all starts. Of course, on the other side, Ricky Reynolds falls down, and you have to respect number 81 anytime he leaves the line of scrimmage, and there's the result.
You know, even on that play, Carter sensed the fact that Ricky Reynolds had slipped and turned back to the inside. Good recovery by Reynolds to prevent a bigger play. Jim Gustafson in to replace Anthony Carter. 1st and 10 from the 25. Dozier. Second effort. Down to the 20. 5-yard run.
Here's the deal where your offensive line is doing what's necessary to win a football game. You want to run the ball, you want to advance the ball, get the first downs, work on the clock, and you would like to do it on the ground. And this is where your offensive line has to dig in and get it done.
And you see in the bottom right-hand corner, that's what the Vikings are fighting right there. Under 6 minutes remaining in the contest. Vikings on top, 17-3.
I think the big thing you see this game, JB, is that the Vikings are running the ball against a team that has been stopping the rush fairly well. They're running well today.
Gustafson and Lewis, the wideouts. Kramer scrambling. throws it to DJ Dozier, and they say he's out of bounds, and a flag is on a play.
And then we got a lineman downfield.
Great touch catch by DJ Dozier, but there are 2 flags back at the 20.
Yeah, nice job by Dozier. Nice job by Tommy Kramer of finding someone. Here it is. He gets flushed out. Watch him just touch it right over the top. Nice little ho-hum one-hander by Dozier. Nice game, but see number 72 right there? He's a long way downfield, David Huffman.
Snake, you were all over it. So David Huffman, a little too anxious getting downfield, brings back an exciting play.
What happens, you know, is when you scramble around like that, the offensive lineman only holds so long, then they think the ball is gone. They think the ball has been thrown, then they break downfield to try to help out.
Makes it 2nd and 15 for the Vikes. Carter and Lewis to the near side. Kramer with time, looking for Steve Jordan. Nearly intercepted Mark Robinson on the cover that time, on the coverage. And Kramer really did try to force that one.
I think so. He's forced several of them today, had a couple picked off. He's played pretty well today, though, but can't force the ball in the middle when you have 2 safeties like Harry Hamilton and Mark Robinson.
5:31 remaining in the contest.
That's a guy right there, JB, I think ought to be more involved in their offense. I think he would take an awful lot of pressure off of Hassan Jones and Anthony Carter and the offense in general if you could get him a little bit more involved, although he does have the injured wheel.
Tampa coach Ray Perkins considers Steve Jordan the best tight end in the league. 4 wideouts in on 3rd down. Anderson runs into Winston Moss. And I guess the fans didn't appreciate the play call that time, huh?
They want him to throw the ball. You know, they want to see the excitement. I think Jerry Burns with a 14-point lead. He's playing for the field goal, and I think that's the right decision. Keeps the clock running.
63,000 assistant coaches.
Yep, everybody puts on the coach's hat when it's 3rd and 1, 3rd and 15. All the coaches come out.
Well, Carlos thus far has had a very productive outing coming to the team of his brother-in-law, Kirk Loudermilk, the center. Of course, you know Rich Carlos, longtime kicker with the Denver Broncos. This is a 44-yarder, and it's no good. So the barefooter can't get it through the uprights. Tampa will take over, trailing by 14. 44-yard attempt by Rich Carlos, the former Denver Bronco kicker.
There it goes. Close, but no cigar.
And after an 8-year tenure there, the end of the road came with the Broncos. They replaced him with a kicker by the name of David Treadwell, and it's turned out to be a positive move for the Broncos. He's 7 of 7 with them. Carlos came in to replace Teddy Garcia, who on the season had missed 4 of 5 field goal attempts here. Bucks, not much time to operate. 4:44. Testaverde on 1st down. Complete to Mark Carrier. Across the 30 to about the 33-yard line.
Well, JB, they're going right to their hurry-up offense. They're not going to huddle. The clock is working against them, of course, and this is the only thing they have left to do is try to make something happen in a hurry.
2nd and 4. Testaverde looking up top. Almost intercepted by Reggie Rutland. So Rutland obviously shook the cobwebs out of his head quickly.
Yeah, and Benny really didn't throw a very good ball there. You know, you can't just throw the ball up and hope that something happens with all those jerseys back there. Just throw the ball away and line up and start again. That's the only chance you're going to have. Don't force things. Well, that's this obvious how well they played today on offense. When you see punt, fumble, punt, and they displayed terribly. The offensive line really hasn't helped Benny. When Benny's got the time, he hasn't delivered the ball in the proper place, and they've just put too much pressure on their defense.
Isaac Holt and Darrell Fullington in as the 5th and 6th defensive backs for the Vikings. Testaverde looking for Drury, incomplete. Drury had to die for it, being led a little too much. And it's been these hurry-up kinds of situations where Testaverde has gotten into trouble with interceptions. He only has 3 coming into today's game. 2 of those were Hail Marys.
That's exactly right. When he plays best is when they get good first down plays. When he gets the pass protection, he can dump the ball off.
Not a very strong day for Testaverde, Snake.
Well, 6 for 23 is really not going to get it done, especially when you're playing against a team in your division as strong as the Minnesota Vikings.
And there's a Bucs player down on the field. It's Willie Drury, the 5th-year wide receiver out of West Virginia. Well, we've got plenty of action taking place around the league for an NFL Today report. Let's go to New York and Brent.
JB, fireworks in Milwaukee. The Packers' 4th quarter march continues. 9 minutes to go. Great catch here by Herman Fontenot for a TD. Pulls him to within 1. Deion Sanders then hauled the kickoff back for a TD, but that was called back. 9 minutes to go. Falcons lead it by 1. Now let's go back to JB.
All right, Brent. Well, I tell you, it really seems like Don Bukowski has to have his back against the wall to really start to come through.
Well, we saw him earlier this year when he come roaring back against the New Orleans Saints, the game that we had, and he had 18 straight completions to tie Lynn Dickey's record, club record, Green Bay record for completions, and that kid gets hot when it gets late, you know.
To talk about coming roaring back, that apparently is what is taking place down in New Orleans. Saints had been leading at 14-3 over the Redskins. Skins on top by 1 that game late in the 4th quarter. And Washington suffering through a very slow start, trying to get back on track. And you know the Saints are mad. Willie Drury up under his own power and walking off.
Willie Drury got tremendous speed. They've been trying to work him in there, and it's upset Bruce Hill somewhat because this gentleman's got such tremendous speed that Ray Perkins is just trying to get him worked into the offense, and it's been in replacement of Bruce Hill.
And certainly Bruce Hill knows all too well this is the last year of his contract, and he wants a few passes his way.
Last year's those contracts, you kind of like to stand up and get something done.
Chris Moore has seen an awful lot of duty today. Back there to punt again. Leo Lewis back for the Vikings. And Lewis takes it at the 25 and gets maybe a yard. So the Minnesota Vikings have been doing well today, keeping the ball on the ground, bullying straight ahead. You take a look at what they did against Houston, a contest they won 38-7. They gained 145 yards on the ground. Look at the loss to Chicago by the same score of 38-7. Game 3, 112 yards, better job on the ground, but still lost to the Steelers. And today, effectiveness on the ground, they lead it 17-3 with 4:05 remaining against Tampa Bay.
Thinking for the quarterback, Tommy Kramer, right now is get the game down to the 2 minutes and still keep possession of the ball. Get it to the 2-minute warning, get a couple first downs.
Nelson, the ball carry. He's got room. And talk about having power in such a little body. 5'9", 184. But boy, he runs hard.
He's their back that they use to get outside, whether it be a swing pass or a little reverse or dumping the ball or sweeps like that. He's the guy they use for speed.
9-yard run by Darren Nelson. 9 carries for 55 yards. And Snake, I think he's done a pretty good job of convincing Rich Burns. Rich Burns.
Jerry's cousin.
Oh, my goodness. That he certainly has done the job. And Tampa Bay calls a timeout, stopping the clock at 3:44. That was kind of like you were talking about last with San Francisco and Bill Walsh.
Yeah, I call Bill Walsh Joe Walsh. And I don't, Joe Walsh of the Eagles singing group. I don't think Bill sings that well anyway.
And swinging to San Francisco, they will be one of the 2 Titans coming up in Game 2 of our doubleheader today. San Francisco against the Rams.
That's going to be a terrific matchup.
No doubt about it. Not a bad start by George Seifert.
No,
3-0.
Not at all. What he did is he came in, he had a loose training camp and a much lighter atmosphere around those players, and I think they all enjoyed that. And, of course, anytime you can keep Montana, Craig, and Rice healthy, you've got a chance.
And, San Francisco was a team that the Vikings were pointing to where they felt ownership and management was doing a good job of taking care of their players. They're playing happy and playing well. Nelson and Finney in the backfield. on second down. And Nelson has got the first down. So Darren Nelson performing workhorse duty for the Vikings as they get the first down, and Tampa Bay trying to stop that clock takes yet another timeout.
Well, they'll take that timeout, and then they'll get another one at the 2-minute warning to get their extra timeout. And all Minnesota wants to do is to try to keep continuing to do what they've been doing, run the ball on the ground, use the clock, get out of here.
Tampa Bay with one timeout remaining. Let's take a look at Darren Nelson coming over to the side. Kenny, as much as the players hate playing on turf for all the obvious reasons, injuries and the like, certainly the turf does favor the quicker, smaller guys who can cut so effectively on that surface.
I think so. I think one of the things that is good about it is the fact that the footing is always good. Sometimes that footing is too good. It can result in injuries, but the thing you like about it from a quarterback standpoint is you're always got the good footing, and you always can plant there. Your receivers are always going to get the good, sharp cuts, but like I said, sometimes that footing is too good. That results in the knees, the ankles, and that sort of thing.
All told, everyone would prefer to play on natural surface.
I don't think there's any doubt.
The big backs in, Anderson and Finney on first down. This is Anderson. And Tampa Bay uses its last timeout. Now, I think there must have been a Buck player who tried to get a little creative. It looked like a flag was thrown on the play, and it was actually a towel, and I'm sure the Bucks were hoping to disrupt that play.
Disrupt things and maybe let's see if we can find it. Is this a way to get a timeout? Is this something new we're going to have to deal with? A flag comes flying out of all these bodies, and hoping maybe that the officials would blow it dead. Let's see if we can find it. There it
There's
comes.
the towel. Mark Robinson.
I think Mark Robinson. Number 30. There he is. Let me throw this flag and see if I can get the clock stopped and get us another timeout. Nope, didn't work.
Can't fault him for creativity. Well, while we've got a break in the action here, action is still thick down in New Orleans. Let's swing it back to New York and Brent Musburger.
JB, 2 minutes to go. 36-yard field goal attempt for Morton Anderson, and he leaves it out to the left. His second miss of the day, and so the Redskins lead it by 2 with 2:22 to go. Back to JB.
Boy, do they have a tight one down in Saints land. My goodness.
Got a barn burner going down there, and you know, when Morton Anderson misses in the Superdome, that's something to write about.
That's saying something. Boy, if the Saints lose that one, they'll be 1-3.
Uphill.
2nd and 14 for the Vikings. Finney in motion. The pitch to Darren Nelson. And Nelson slithering and sliding his way forward. Gang tackling led by Harry Hamilton and Rod Jones.
I think Darren Nelson, I'm sorry, JB, I think Darren Nelson has played a much bigger role today than he really anticipated playing. You read it in the media all week long. They're talking about this big back setup of Anderson and Finney, but all of a sudden this little guy jumps in here and catches some passes and gains 60, 70 yards on the ground and becomes a factor in the game.
Snake, just like you said, a quarterback should not feel good about being pulled out of a game. Any competitor should be fired up reading things in the paper like, hey, you've lost the speed, you can't contribute anymore.
That's what they've done to this guy. They say he's lost a step. They're going to go big backs, and he makes his presence known.
Alfred Anderson, the lone back. He's the ball carrier. Has the first down, plus a few. And there's the argument for keeping at least one big back in there.
It's kind of nice to have one of each, you know, let them complement each other. Get that little light guy outside and get that big heavy guy up inside, and the line's the one that makes it happen. You know, you did get Zimmerman and Huffman, Loudermilk and Kalis and Irwin in there. They're all doing the job when the job is the toughest, when they know you're trying to run the clock out, yet they're controlling the ball on the ground.
You were talking about during your day Clarence Davis being a good, hard-running type of a back.
CD, Clarence Davis from the University of Southern California. We had a fullback-oriented offense, but our back had to block it. He was terrific.
And right now, that's exactly how the Vikings feel. Terrific with a 14-point lead. One of the discontents, malcontents here with this contract, does a victory help matters?
I don't think it solves matters. I think it makes it much easier to live with, JB. As we said at the top, of winning streaks can possibly cure the common cold. I don't think it will cure the problems that they're having with contract situations, but I think it makes it much easier to live with.
And that guy, Joey Browner, right there is considered by many to be the best free safety in all of football. 2 minutes left in the contest. Vikings with the ball at the 47 of Tampa, on top by 14, 17-13 Vikes. Finney runs into Reuben Davis.
Well, you would think here that with Tampa Bay out of all their timeouts, they have no more timeouts, and one first down probably wins the game for you. Get one first down on the ground, and we can probably get away from here. Protect the ball. Tell your backs when they come into the huddle, cover up the ball. They're going to be trying to strip the ball. If you bounce it outside, stay in bounds and let the clock run.
The coordinating producer of CBS Sports coverage of the National Football League is Charles H. Milton III. Today's game has been produced by Big George Veras, and directed by a guest host.
Our guest host, John McDonough.
The executive producer of CBS Sports is Ted Shaker. And this is Rick Finney, the ball carrier, taking it across down to about the 40, call it the 46-yard line.
Well, the offense has played well in the second half of Minnesota. And the thing you like out of your offense, JB, is balance. And you look here at our crack statistician, Steve Kleinfeld, comes up with 39 rushes and 35 passes. So that's a balanced attack, almost a 50% run and pass percentage.
Steve Jordan, the tight end, goes out. Darrell Ingram, a rookie out of California, in. Ball marked at the 42. On third down. As Kramer goes down on one knee, and keep in mind that coming up next here on CBS Sports, it'll be a doozy. San Francisco and LA. 49ers and the Rams.
Nice job by Tommy Kramer.